Let's just hope they can catch a vibe today. Hey y'all. So I wanted to hop on today because I feel like I've been MIA for about a week. Give you not too much. Um, but no, I said I've been MIA a little bit for a couple of. I would probably say this last week when I'm usually on live and I'm usually talking to you guys throughout the week. And so today I wanted to hop on because I just wanted to catch up and everything. I feel like I was going through some changes, y'all. I was going through some changes. And I think a lot of what was happening on the collective level with getting rid of the martyr loops and stuff like that, it opened up new avenues for me or opportunities for me or ways of looking at life for me. And um, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that today. Let me get myself set though, and then we can chat. But it was a strange week for me though. Like I feel like I was going through growing pains. Like I felt like I was in a void. Like I'm in a void period, meaning like nothing is happening, nothing is forming. But I think when you're in that void period, it's an important part of your journey because that's when new opportunities or new facets of yourself kind of come online. And I was not liking it. I was very uncomfortable. Not gonna lie, I smoked my way through it, which I haven't been smoking. So um but it was insanely uncomfortable because everything that I have built when it comes like platform wise and just in general, like I felt like that it was built from a place of me still being in that martyr loop, like me still trying to save people, me still trying to, fix everything. And so now that I've released, oh yeah, let me make sure I don't burn no shit up. But now that I've released that martyr loop though, and now that I've realized that I don't have to be helpful to be valuable. I don't have to give to be valuable. Like I can be valuable in other ways. Um, I realized through that though that I prefer to be in like the teacher space instead of the helping with shadow work, spiritual mentorship, like those type of things. And I think I like when I started spiritual mentorship, I really honestly felt like I knew that that wasn't going to be in game for me, even though it is something that I love to do. Like I love to be helpful in that way because I felt like that's all I wanted growing up was to help people understand themselves, help people understand it from a different point of view, because I think that my gift lies in my ability to see the beauty in pain. I think my gift lies in my ability to still see the light while in the midst of chaos and to help people to navigate some of those darker psyche things that we have going on. Um, and so that's why I've always tried to be like the person when it comes to like knowledge and when it comes to information sharing and when it comes to helping people heal, helping people see it in another way. Um, hey, Kingdom of Hearts. That's why I always feel like I've had to be that person. But what I realized in unpacking this whole martyr thing, which is me feeling like I need to give endlessly, or me feeling like I need to help, me feeling like I need to heal people, help save people. I realized that again, when I was a kid, that was all I ever wanted, was to help my family do that. But I just went to the people who basically were ready to receive me, people who wanted to change. And in me doing that, I didn't realize that it's still built off of that initial fear of me trying to feel safe in my environment. I just switched who I was talking to, but it doesn't change the fact that the entire idea of me helping people, offering up guidance, that whole thing comes from the scared little girl me, right? And so now that I'm in this place where I am releasing that, because I think we just went through a collective release around that martyr loop, around betrayal, around longing, around grief, around realizing that we can have the life that we want if we choose it. And so in me doing that, it put me in a very uncomfortable position. And I think sometimes we think that when we enter into that uncomfortable space where we don't know what we're unsure about everything, that we went backwards. But in all reality, that's exactly what you asked for. In order for you to get to the next stage, you have to get into the in-between, and that is the in-between. And a lot of times we get in that in-between, and because we're uncertain, we start panicking and we start moving based off of fear, when instead what you should do is kind of anchor in. And so over the last week, that's basically what I was doing. I was hanging out with myself. I was sitting outside. I was just trying to listen to myself. Like I didn't listen to any books last week. I literally rested and I sat outside and I just listened to what was going on inside of my body. And through that, I realized that I am better suited for the teaching role. Like that is where I want to be, because I was burnt out. I found out last week I was burnt out, and I was just like, "How the fuck are you still burnt out and you doing something that you love to do?" And it's because it is not. You could still love to do something and then not fully be in alignment with what you came here to do. And so I looked back over my like human design. I looked back at like what I initially started doing and like what I want. And I've always said that I wanted a spiritual school. Like I always said that I wanted to be the teacher. And now I realize that I want to be the teacher that teaches teachers. And so I'm reconfiguring everything. And I feel like spirit is trying to show me that as well too, because like I feel like clients who are normally clients who are there every month have kind of been fading away, and I'm just like, I'm questioning it, but at the same time I'm like, no, because I said I was ready for the next step. Like I'm ready for me to fully embody, and so that means that I have to move in alignment with myself, which means that those things are falling away anyways. So I haven't been putting up a fight on that. I know that I've opened up several different mentee spaces, and I've had mentee spaces open for the last couple of months, and I haven't said anything because I knew that that's not where I was going. I just didn't know where I was going. Now that I figured out where I'm going, I'm working on that. But it's crazy because my cousin called me today and she was just like, "Oh my gosh, cousin, I just want to see if you're in a good space. I need to talk about something." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she was saying that she loves her career and she feels like it's not fulfilling her though. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is exactly what I just went through. And so I had confirmation like right after. Hey, Tamaria. Thank you. I love that. I hope your day went well as well. But yeah, she like came after that. Like I had a conversation with her after that about the same thing. And so I was wondering if, a lot of people were going through this reorganization of who they think they are and what they actually want in this reality, because a lot of the energy has been supporting us shifting towards things that are more aligned with purpose, opposed to things that we're doing just because we're trying to survive. And so I was wondering if other people were feeling that, or if anybody else was going through that, because I felt like it was so uncomfortable. It was so hard because I feel like I built my whole platform. I built my whole business off of this premise of, trying to help people heal. And even though in what I'm doing next, I'm still going to be helping people heal. I just think that, the shifting of the gears and realizing that what I thought I wanted wasn't what I actually wanted really fucked me up, I guess. Oh, the shift is here. It absolutely is, and so I feel like, well, what I realized? I realized that we were never taught what to do. We were only ever taught what not to do, and through that, it's caused so many issues because a lot of us are just doing what everybody else is doing because we were never taught what to do. We were never taught who we were, when it comes to spirit, when it comes to man, like we were never taught those things. And so what I'm trying to do now is create a space to where a space where we can be taught from the ground up, and so I'm excited about it. Like I feel like this is the most momentum I've had in a long time. Like this is because I feel like when I get an idea about something, I get like a burst of energy to where I can just push that thing forward. And so this is the most energetic that I've been about anything in a long time. Like I think the last time was probably the tarot deck. Like I was really energetic about that. I'm not going to lie. But it also made me realize that that's what true alignment is about. Like we don't understand that what it means to embody your oversoul in this reality is that God, the God energy, the God within is supposed to channel creation through you for you to create it into form, which means you're always supposed to be creating, which means you're always supposed to be shifting, which means you're always supposed to be evolving. And as you do those things, the things that come up, the things that you're curious about, the things that you're excited about, you're supposed to bring them into form. And then you keep moving and you keep going and you keep doing it, but if you're a person who doesn't believe that you're a creative person, or you're a person who doesn't believe in yourself, who needs external validation from other people, then you're not going to be creating. So why would source energy move through you if you don't allow it to move through you? I think it's as simple as sharing your knowledge. It's as simple as going through something and sharing your experience or the wisdom that you gain from that experience. If you're not a person who brings things into form, if you're not a person who's contributing, if you're not a person who's sharing, then your oversoul is not gonna want to fully descend into your vessel because it's wasted consciousness, and we're consciousness. Consciousness is supposed to be expressed, and we're consciousness trying to be expressed in form. So you have to kind of allow yourself to do that. Give yourself permission to be multiple versions of yourself. Give yourself permission to go through the cycles of death and rebirth. And I feel like that's what this was. This was definitely a death, but definitely a rebirth as well. And it was insanely uncomfortable, but I'm glad that I went through it, because on the other side of that was clarity. It was me realizing that I'm still operating from an unhealed place, even, and that's why I can't understand why my external reality doesn't reflect what I understand and what I've integrated. I'm like, why is it not reflect? Like, what's going on? And it's because I'm still operating from that fear. I'm still focusing on the things of an unhealed person, So I just wanted to get on here and share that. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Hey, Chewy, because I've seen some of y'all commenting. But yeah, I just realized a lot in this last week. And oh, good. IJ, I love that. But I realized a lot in this last week. Grand Rising, my love. And so I just wanted to share. I'm so glad I joined. Yes, I'm going through this exact thing. I lost my job that I thought I really loved, but I was so relieved and excited to open the space for what I actually want, period. I love that for you, boo. Like, that's kind of what's been happening. Like, I feel like I've been losing clients, or things have kind of slowed down, and I'm in this like void period, and I'm okay, but it's just like, what is going on? And through me being in that, like, it's almost like we go through, like, you got to understand that we're constantly going through cycles, and those cycles are not bad things, right? They're always shifting us back into better alignment with ourselves, because as we move throughout our day, as we move throughout our life, we come in contact with people who are shifting our perspective, or they have energy on them that hops on us. And so we need that recalibration. But because we think of that as failure, because society has only told us what they want us to do instead of how we actually operate, we think we're going backwards, when in reality, no, you are being reformed because you asked to be reformed. And then I realized too that there are moments where I will be like, I'm ready, I want something new. And then I go into a state of uncertainty, and then I start backpedaling, and I'm just like, no, this is literally what you asked for. So when you're in that uncomfortable energy is the old you needing to dissolve while the new you is being formed. And that's exactly what you asked for. So you want to be in that uncertainty, because if you're not in uncertainty, then you're in survival, right? Because survival is the part of you that's it likes things that it can control, right? It's ruled by the ego self. It's the part of you that wants to protect and guard you. That's what survival is. And so if you're not uncomfortable, then you are complicit. Comfortable. Let me not say complicit. Let me say then you're comfortable where you are. You're comfortable in sameness, and being comfortable in sameness means you're not changing. You're not evolving. Does that make sense? Hey girl, I haven't seen you. I know, Deidre. I literally just said that. I've been MIA for a week because I was going through it. I mean, I look like I've been fucking going through it. Okay. But I've found some wisdom in that. And so I was getting on here to share that, because I think it's so important, or what I realized too recently is that it's so important not to tie yourself to a specific identity. You are multifaceted. You are multidimensional. It's not just one version of you that exists. You are consciousness, and you're viewing life through different lenses, which means you have to allow yourself to view life through different lenses, because that's the only way for you to change. And so when you think about your conscious mind, like when you're awake and you're doing daily tasks like tying your shoe or like going to the mall or whatever, that's you experiencing consciousness through a specific lens. When you go to sleep, you experience consciousness through a different lens. How you experience that consciousness is based off of what you give permission to, but you don't realize that you're giving the permission. And that's the problem, is that we don't realize that not only are we this temporary version of ourselves, but we're the full fucking field also. So not only can you tap into this version of yourself, you can also tap into the full version of yourself as well. And it's through you tapping into that full version of yourself where healing happens. And your subconscious mind is actually the lens that you use to look through that. But your conscious mind is the barrier to that. I hope I'm not making this convoluted, but your perspective is based off of what you get permission to. And we don't realize that our environment is not responding to us. It's not responding to us. It is mirroring us. It's mirroring us. So whatever you see in your reality is what you gave permission to. That fucked me up because I'm working on putting together this thing for us. I've been studying consciousness again, which is something that I feel like I've pretty much very good at it, but I've been deepening it lately because as you go up in levels of consciousness, your truth deepens. And one of the deepened truth that I got recently is like, think of consciousness as like a net with little points on the net, right? Like little dots on the net. Although right now, because you have a body, you're one of those dots on that net, you still have access to the full field. You are the full field. And so it's not that consciousness lives inside of you. It's that you are the consciousness. You are the awareness. So that part of you, when you close your eyes and you tell yourself to focus on breathing and you just pay attention to what's happening, the part of you that's noticing is the consciousness. And it's always there with you because you are the consciousness. It's not that the consciousness comes into your body. You are the thing. That fucked me up this week because I was like, wow, we really don't fucking, like, even when we think we understand, we still don't. But I did that realization helped me too with what I'm doing next, because I realized that I have access to the oversoul stream. Like when I'm getting downloads and when I'm sitting with myself and I'm trying to figure things out, I'm tapping into something that is much higher than most people. And that's why I realized that the teacher of teachers, that's what it clicked to me. You're a master 33. You're supposed to be teaching, so yeah, you are a student always. Yeah, I am a student always. Facts, been through this. So sitting in uncertainty is utilizing all the positive coping mechanisms like grounding. So sitting in uncertainty is utilizing all the positive coping mechanisms like grounding. Yes, and I think also mothering yourself, nurturing yourself through it, because I think that there's a part of us, there's a group of us, or pretty much all of us, who have had emotionally unavailable parents. And so because we had emotionally unavailable parents, we don't know how to nurture ourselves because we've never been nurtured, And so the only thing that we've gotten from our parents is criticism, it's correction, because they're trying to parent us, right? And so the only thing we've gotten is criticism and correction. And so a lot of us don't know anything but criticism and correction, and we don't know how to hold ourselves. We don't know how to extend compassion to ourselves, And so while you're sitting in uncertainty, you need to listen and stop talking. You need to listen and stop distracting, which means turn the TV off. That's one thing that I did. I sat on my porch for days. Literally probably had 4-5 clients last week. And I did the only thing I did last week was talk to those clients that I had. And outside of that, I did nothing else. I literally sat on my porch and I was like, what is it? I need to listen. I don't think we listen to ourselves enough because we always moving. Society pushes us towards urgency, and we really amplifying their own fucking urgencies because they're trying to make money off of our energy source. But it depletes our energy source so that we don't have nothing left for ourselves. And so we think rest is punishment or something. We think rest is something that the lazy people do, but rest is actually where you hear yourself. That's how you get into feminine energy, through stillness. Right. And so you need to be able to stop and slow down, because otherwise you're never going to be able to hear yourself think. And so, yes, it is grounding. It's nurturing yourself. It's managing your minds and your thoughts, realizing you're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're not even your body. You're the thing that's experiencing and witnessing it, which means that they're coming in to your awareness, but it doesn't mean you have to agree with them. I think most of us, because we haven't separated ourselves from our emotions and our thoughts, we just agree with them and we think that it's us. But it's just, no, you don't have to agree with it. So yeah, it's sitting with yourself, it's grounding, it's all of those things. Okay. Any clue as to why so many starseeds, chosen ones, awakened ones, are not working at this moment? because we again, oh well, maybe you weren't on the live. It's okay. So we just went through a major shift, and I think it's major because like I feel like it's something shifted, right? We went through a major shift where we were clearing out martyrdom loops, and a lot of us are the healers. We're the high priestesses. We're the architects. We're the guardians, right? We fall into like these categories of things that we came here to do, because when we initially came here, we were the high vibrational beings who were trying to get people to remember, right? And so a lot of us are actually being realigned with purpose. The next step that you make has to be from purpose, not from survival. Otherwise, you working backwards. And so a lot of us who are star seeds, who are chosen ones, awakens, whatever you want to call yourself, you know, a lot of us are being realigned with purpose. And so whatever you thought you wanted out of survival, because you're trying to survive the system, because you need money, because you need to have food on your table, like all of those things are kind of fading away, especially if you have been doing the work over these last couple of years, because you've been aligning yourself to a specific frequency, but you have to reach the frequency. You can't reach the frequency if you're still playing out the shadow side of what your energy actually came here to do. Like the healer plays the martyr, which is the wounded healer, right? And so we got to get you from the wounded healer back to the healer. So the guardian protector, a lot of times people who got a lot of anger, is because they're guardian energy. But if you operating from that anger, then you operating out of the shadow side instead of actually protecting, which is more so about boundaries, right? So we're being shifted, if that makes sense, like towards actual purpose instead of the false light systems, because a lot of y'all probably been doing work around letting go of the false light systems, removing yourself from the system, those type of things, and this is what it looks like. It fucking sucks. We can say that. Because last week was not fun. It was not fun for me. However, it's a necessary thing that has to happen in order for you to actually align yourself with what you came here to do, you know? So I hope that helps. Hey, Hija. Yes, I often sit in quietness. Yeah, I have been incapable of listening to anything. Like even when I'm like scrolling through TikTok, listening to any of my books, like it's almost like spirit is demanding me to be in silence. Even when I'm sleeping, I can't even listen to my frequencies. I'll be listening to my frequency. I can't even listen to I need dead silence. It's like there's something that I'm not hearing, or I don't know, but I feel like these last couple of weeks, ever since after September 22nd, after we went through into the feminine cycle, everything is about like what's going on inside of me, which I mean makes sense because that's on brand, but it's just hard to navigate. I got you on two screens, period. I love that fuzz. Oh, hold on. Shit. Let me go back. Felt that shift. Yeah, the shift is definitely something going on. Yeah, wow. Thank you for explaining that to me. You're welcome, baby. Um, yes, you did. Okay, good. Same with the silence. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's like I'm incapable. Like even the only time I can listen to music or something is when I'm working out. But I have been working out, I have been at least doing that much. But last week was so hard for me to get through that I stopped doing like my schedule workout, and I literally just turned on YouTube and started doing like some dance. Like I started doing like dance cardio, dance hit. Like I did a ballet bar class, which I haven't did ballet in a long time, but I was just like, okay, if I'm not going to work out how I normally work out, I need to at least get my ass up the fuck moving, And then I did like I learned like a dance tutorial shit, and I'm just like, you're going to have to figure it out this week because it's just not happening. And I also was on my cycle, which I feel like I get like so much downloads while I'm on my cycle. And so it just was a lot going on. My motherfucking face breaking out. Look, listen. The fact that y'all seeing me today is a blessing because I was really going through it. Any physical symptoms? I've been having a lot of energy moving up my spine, I would say, like through my back, through my neck, and through the back of my heart space. Sinus, but I think I've been releasing a lot of energy though, so that could just be specific to me, like wiping away everything off the board and just flowing. Yeah, that's really what it's about. Yes, and sometimes I find myself sitting by the water and I have to be outside or near the water. Yeah, because water, you are water. Like everything that earth is, you are, and you have waters inside of your body. And so when you sit next to the ocean, it's almost like you synchronize in a way. to the rhythm. And so it helps to pull out emotional energy that you are having access. That's why grounding is important as well, because you got chakras in your feet that help you to expel excess emotional energy into the ground, because earth wants to help you. You living inside of her body. If you ain't healthy, she ain't healthy. you know Okay, little emancipation of me. I wasn't expecting that. How can one ground their thoughts when meditating, please? I think that people think that you're supposed to be without thoughts while you're meditating. That's not true, right? Even though some of us can sit, like some of us who come from the silence, come from the stillness, we can get our brains quiet, like our head quiet, but most of us cannot. And it's because it's looping unprocessed fear, unprocessed trauma, things like that, because our mind has become so disconnected from our heart and from our body. Okay. And so if it's disconnected, it's gonna loop. Hold on real quick. Hold on, y'all. No, fuck that. I don't know who number that is though. But anyway, um, so you don't get rid of your thoughts. Okay. So that needs to be the first. Let me just tell y'all some things about meditation, because I think that I just had a um hard time learning how to meditate because nobody ever told me what to expect when meditating. And so maybe I'll do that for a second, real quick, just so you can give you the full picture. One, when you start meditating, it's not about getting rid of the thoughts. Okay. Sometimes the thoughts are going to be there because they're things that need to be processed that you keep ignoring. And so it kind of builds up. It's like the things you swept underneath the rug, and now there's like a pile of shit on the ground with a rug on top of it. Like, that's what's happening inside of your head. You got built up condos in there that was supposed to just move through your awareness, but you stored them. You held on to them because of maybe some trauma that happened, or maybe a fear that you have from a previous experience, or whatever it is. And because we live so much in the mind, whatever we don't use, we lose. And so the connection of the mind to the heart, to the body, gets kind of severed. Okay. And so then what happens is your mind is just looping. It's just looping the same consciousness, because you have to acknowledge it and process it. And because you're an alchemy machine. And so if you're not alchemizing it, it's just going to keep looping until you decide to alchemize it. Okay. That's one. Two, when you sit down to meditate, your ego is going to have a fucking fit. Your ego is the part of you that likes sameness. And so it's going to tell you, this is stupid. Why are you doing this? Did you lock the door? It's going to find ways to try to distract you from yourself, because it does not like new things, right? And when you sit in stillness, when you sit in meditation, your ego is the masculine side of you. You're moving into the feminine energy, which means that your ego has to be surrendered in order for you to fully get there. And your ego likes to be in control because it's trying to keep you safe, right? It don't care about you being happy. It don't care what the fuck you got going on. It just care that you make it to tomorrow. Okay. And so because you're still awake in ego territory, in conscious mind, masculine territory, your ego's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to talk to her? I'm right here. I'm all you need. Right. And that's why the ego is the barrier. And so you got to understand that the first couple of times that you go to meditate, and I want y'all to take away the word meditation, just say sit in stillness. Because I think meditation, you feel like you're supposed to be seeing something, you're supposed to be doing something. That's not true, right? It's anchoring you into the present moment is what it's trying to do. Okay. Because so many of us are living in the past or living in the future, meaning worried about where we should be, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and then all the things that have happened to us that we never in the present moment where creation happens, where we can hear ourselves clearly, where our oversoul can talk to us. We're not ever in connection with the very thing that we come from. Right. And so when you first sit down to meditate, I would do it after 6 p.m. Okay. The reason why I want you to do it after 6 p.m. is because that's when you're in the feminine cycle, meaning that that's when you're in stillness energy and you're trying to achieve stillness, right? And so 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., meditate, okay? Not the whole time, but pick a time, right? When you first start, only start with 5 minutes. Don't go past 5 minutes. You're going to get frustrated. Start with 5 minutes. Make sure you're in a dark room. If you are afraid of the dark, light a candle. Okay. But you got to eventually get to a point where you're not afraid of the dark. Because if you're afraid of the dark, it's going to be really hard for you to meditate because that's where you're going. That's where you're going. Okay. And so, dark space after 6 p.m. Get you a candle if you need to get you a candle, but you need to be you need to pick a comfortable spot because you want to meditate in that spot every single time. And the reason why is because you build up a concentration of energy. And so the next time you get in that same spot and you go to meditate, your body's going to remember. But the energy that you created in that space is also going to remember. And so it's going to be easier for you to do it the next time. Okay. After 6 p.m., it does not have to be dark, but your internal light can't come on when their light's on. And that's why most people who are afraid of the dark will sleep with the light on, because then your pineal gland is not activating. You need to be in darkness. So it don't have to be complete darkness. You can light a candle. But you want to be in darkness because that's what I found. Okay. And I'm just telling y'all from experience what I would do. I would do it after 6 p.m. I would pick a comfortable spot, set the vibe if you need to, clear the energy in the room, like get you some sage, set your intentions over the room, set your intentions for your meditation as well. Because I think a lot of us don't set our intentions for what we want to experience either. And so our body doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't know what we're doing. So set your intention as well. Clear your space. Find you a comfortable spot. Sit in that spot 5 minutes. I would turn on a fan or an air conditioner or something you can listen to. Okay? Because you got to get into the habit of listening. Okay? And so turn on a fan or something and focus your attention on that fan. Now, when thoughts come up, because they will, I want you to acknowledge them and say, okay, I hear you, but I'm going to address you after the meditation. And then you keep doing that until your timer goes off, that 5 minutes have passed. When you get out of the meditation, you need to write down everything that came up. And those are the things you need to handle. And so you need to either journal about them. You need to figure out whether or not it's something you can control or not. Because if it's something that you can't control, you got to learn how to let it go. You have to just keep nurturing yourself around it. If it is something that you can control, you need to make a change now. Most of the time, what's going to be coming up is the things that's happening at your job, your cousin who pissed you off, whatever. Those are things that you need to find a solution for, because if you don't, it's just going to keep looping. Right? So you need to make a decision because the decision hasn't been made. Right? So you do that for 5 minutes for 2 weeks. Don't go into it with the understanding that you want to see something. No, you got to clear out the house first. Can't nothing new come in if it's built up with all this shit that's unprocessed. You're not going to be able to hear it through the noise. And so you need to move the noise a little bit, right? So do that for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, go up to 10 minutes. It's going to be so much easier after those 2 weeks. Go up to 10 minutes and then do the same thing. Okay? The thoughts are going to slow down, meaning that instead of them coming back to back to back to back to back, like they all congested, because you got energetic constipation going on up here, right? When the thoughts are not coming back to back to back to back, they're going to be coming slower. And so you have the chance to witness them all as they come, acknowledge them, because you got to witness them, acknowledge them, and move them. Okay. Then eventually you'll be at a place where you can hold it, or a thought. It takes so long for a thought to come because you've already dealt with all the shit, right? Then you can start the stillness and the meditation for trying to do soul retrieval or memory retrieval or whatever the fuck. But until you get out of survival mode up here, it's going to be really difficult. So I hope you understand that your ego is going to try to get you. Check the door. Oh, it's a ghost next to you. Whatever it is you're afraid of, your ego's going to try to fuck you up in those first couple of days. You need to remain sitting. You need to acknowledge it and say, okay, but we're choosing a different path. Okay? Because those are the things that you've given permission to, for your mind to keep reminding you of, because you're trying to keep yourself safe. Right? And so the goal of the first 2 weeks is to deal with whatever's unprocessed And then when you get to a point where the thoughts have kind of slowed down, focus on feeling safe, because that's going to help. Will this be saved? I missed the beginning gems of this. Yes, it'll be on YouTube, guys. Yes, phone rings, text messages start to come in. I'm like, come on. Yeah, just put that phone on D&D. It's only 5 minutes. And just if you could commit to 5 minutes, that's it. That's all you really need. You know, I wish somebody would have told me any of this, because when I first sat down, it was in the middle of the day. I did have blackout curtains or whatever, but I couldn't turn the light fully off because I was afraid of the dark. I don't give no fuck. The only thing I've really been afraid of in this life is ghosts, heights, and sharks. Okay? The heights and the sharks come from a past life, but the ghost, that comes from this life. Okay? And so it's really hard to tap into the spiritual world when you're afraid of it. And so I had a light on. And my mind was like, did you lock the door? I don't know why. During that period of time, I felt like somebody was going to break into my house. And so I was like, did you lock the door? And so I get up and I go and check the door. And I'm like, bitch, you've been in this house you never even left the house. Why would the door be unlocked? You know? And then I sat back down and it was like, this is stupid. Like, that's literally, this is stupid. And I was like, oh no, this has to be my ego. Because I was just in the process of learning about the ego. And I was like, oh no, this absolutely has to be my ego. You know, because I don't feel that way. It's the thought is coming through, but I don't agree with the thought, which is what tells you that your thoughts are not you. You're the consciousness that observing the thought. And so I'm like, no, I don't feel that way. Oh, this has to be my ego. Boom. Men, I love you, Taj. You broke it all the way down. Period. Thank you. How do we process the unprocessed fear and trauma to reconnect? So I think that's a good question, Tamiria. So when you get out of that meditation, you journal, because the only way, emotional alchemy is about turning the emotion that you felt, because it's not about the event. I want to be very clear. Half the time, the event that you experience is just a holographic trigger. A lot of us are looping shit from past lives, and we just replaying it out over and over and over and over again, like a broken fucking record for like the last couple of lifetimes, because we don't know how to let shit go. Okay, because we haven't been told. So we store the memory in our water and we rebirth through the water. And, you know, anyways, so the events that happen in this lifetime are only reminding you of the events that happened in last lifetime. Okay, so it's not about the person. The person, you have orchestrated this whole thing because you are the consciousness. And you said, okay, this is the best way for me to learn this. This is the best way for me to learn that. Okay, and that's why you cannot focus on the events of what happened. It doesn't fucking matter. They were doing what they came here to do. Half of them is your best friends on the other side. Now that one kind of pissed me off, because I got somebody who, when we get on the other side, I'm likely going to knock their head off their shoulders, but taught me the best lessons I've ever learned in my life. Okay, so it's not about the event. It's not about the details. You got to get out of the victimhood of it, because if you're in the victimhood of it, you're never going to learn the lesson. You're only going to be in the energy of something happened to me. Okay. And I think sometimes, because we live in a reality that doesn't really support victims, we just need somebody to validate that experience externally. Also, too, because we grew up in a society that's been conditioning us towards external validation through school. You know, you get graded by somebody external of you, which is fucking subjective when it comes to English. Because, bitch, how you gonna tell me this ain't good? I feel like this is good for me. It might be good for them. It's just not good for you. Anyways. But we've been graded our whole life. And so we need somebody external of us to say, yes, I acknowledge this happened to you, whatever. But even as a person who sought that, even when you get it, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't. I've gotten the apology. I've even gotten the, no, I did love you. It just was a fucked up situation. And guess what? It didn't change anything. The work is internal. It's not about the event. It's about the energy. It's about the resonance. It's about the feeling. Right? Because you're a water alchemist. You alchemize water. So when they say Jesus turned water into wine, he turned emotion, stored energy, which is what emotion is. You're supposed to move it. Energy, you need to move it. Right? Stored energy that you've stored because there's an event that happened that you attach this feeling to that event, and now you've stored it because you don't want to feel that no more. Right? You got to take that and you got to change forms. It has to go from trauma to wisdom. Because when you sit with feeling is a language. Really, not feeling, emotions is a language. Okay? This is going to be on YouTube. right? And it's the way that your soul communicates to you, the way that your body communicates to you. See, your mind communicates to you in thoughts, which are electric. Your body communicates in feeling, which are magnetic. They're two different languages. Okay? The magnetic part of you is everything, it's infinite. The electric part of you, the masculine, is limited. And that's why it moves based out of fear, not possibility. When you move based off of possibility, anything could happen. When you move based off of fear, you only see less limitations, right? And so you need to sit with the feeling, sit present with the feeling, and don't run from it. Literally let it in. Allow yourself to feel. Because if you allow yourself to feel, then you can use it properly. The event and the specifics of the event are going to help you to understand what it's trying to teach you. That's the only goal. When you feel a feeling, you need to figure out where it's coming from and what is it trying to teach you. Because the lesson is the wine, right? And it don't have to just be you storytelling or you giving it to or sharing it with somebody, because you got to move it. You got to move the energy, right? And so you got to take it from wound to healing, right? Wound to wisdom. So you got the wound, you sit with the feeling, you realize that, you know what? This is self-betrayal. I should have had better boundaries. I should have said this. I should have left back then, right? You realize all that stuff, okay? Then you need to breathe it into your heart. And what I mean by that is you need to have compassion for yourself and how you behaved within that event. Because had you never had that event, you wouldn't have known that you needed to do those things, right? You always need to breathe it in your heart first. Why? Because it brings it from the body, which is feeling, up into the neutral point. It neutralizes the energy. Okay? You have to have compassion for you and also the people in the scenario, right? You want to look at it from their viewpoint too, because a lot of times people don't intend on hurting you. People are hurt and they're trying to protect themselves, and in the process of them protecting themselves, they hurt you. Right? That's really what's happening if we look at it from like a higher lens. They're trying to protect them, and in the process of them protecting them, they hurt you. They didn't intend on hurting you. They just know that they have experiences that have made them feel like they need to protect themselves from certain type of people or certain type of energy, or women or whatever. So you need to breathe it into your heart. You need to have compassion for yourself and the other people in the situation. If it was your parents, you probably don't know a lot about your parents. What I found out through getting to understand myself through my parents was I had never even had conversations with my mom and my dad about like who they were and like what they experienced in life and stuff like that. And like going back and having those conversations gave me clarity about why they behave the way that they behave. A lot of times it's learned behavior. It's not that everybody wants to keep repeating it, but nobody comes along to tell them to do anything different, until one of us is born and be like, okay, yeah, this is kind of fucked up. Let's not do that no more, or I'm not going to tolerate that. They don't know, because we don't know what we don't know. Right. And so you need to breathe compassion into it, and then you need to alchemize it. And the alchemy comes from you shifting its form. And so that's creating art, right? So it could be a poetry, it could be creating a song. How many times have you listened to a song and they said exactly what you couldn't articulate, right? It's healing. Now, your pain is now healing me or helping me to heal me, right? Or it could be storytelling. You come and you sharing what you've learned from the experience. But all of it is alchemy. Alchemy means that you need to move it, which means journal. If you don't want to tell nobody, journal about it. Do some video journaling, do some handwritten journaling. Or you can also create art. You can storytell, public speak, go do a TED talk or some shit, write a book. But you need to express it and bring it into form though, because you're moving it from the inside to the outside. That's what it means, energy and motion, to move the energy, right? Because a feeling and an emotion are different. A feeling is a sensation, but when you attach something to that feeling, like there was a traumatic event or something like that, it now becomes an emotion. An emotion is energy in motion, energy that needs to move. Trauma is just energy that you've frozen and you stored because you don't ever want to feel that thing again. And then then it needs to, no energy can move through that area because you've contracted in that area. And so you need to move it. You need to move it from the inside out because now you done made a home inside your body of that thing, you know? And so that's how you handle unprocessed trauma and fear is you have to face it. You literally have to look at it, but you can't look at it from this, you know, you can't look at it from the lens of something happening to you. You have to literally look at it from a higher perspective. Look at both sides of the situation. You know, look at the lesson that it taught you, because whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it taught you something. No matter how intense the emotion was, it taught you something. What did it teach you? Apply that, integrate that into your life, but then also share it. You have to share it in some way. That's the alchemy part of it, because we are all here to help each other grow and evolve, which means that if you are silent in this reality, you probably feel really alone. Nobody's helping you grow. You probably not even helping you grow, you know, and you're probably not evolving. You're probably not changing. You're just trying to keep yourself safe. So you've created this nice, pretty little prison. But you are meant to grow and evolve, and we are meant to help each other grow and evolve, right? There's some of us who alchemize emotional energy, like myself. There's some of us who generate emotional codes for us to alchemize, you know? There's some of us who alchemize in the head, like myself. Those of us who are impulsive, and those of us who start a lot of things but don't finish them, we alchemize divine downloads, which means your thoughts are coming from either inside of you, coming up from the body, right? Because you know your body's relationship to your mind is that you take in information from your physical senses. It's first processed through the mind, okay? But then it has an emotion. It has an emotion attached to it, a feeling. You're meant to drop that into your body so that you can feel it. Okay. Once you feel it, you breathe it into your heart. You have compassion. You alchemize it. You gain the wisdom from it. And then you need to bring it back up to your mind so that your mind can help you logically organize it so that you can then express it. That's how it's supposed to work. But now what's happening, because so many people are living in fear and so many people have decided that their mind is going to be the master, they try to control everything because your mind is control. It's judgment, it's criticism, it's logic, it's strategy, right? Now, because you feel unsafe in your environment, your mind is overriding your body's job. And so you're trying to think your way through a feeling. And those are two different languages. It's like trying to understand French by understanding English. It just doesn't work. These are two different languages. And so you're trying to understand one language by applying the lesser language, you know? So we're here to help each other grow and evolve, and we can't do that if we're not sharing. I think that the whole American dream and us getting into these single family homes kind of ruined our sense of community. You know, we really had the village in the home. You know, we need to go back to what the Hispanics do. They got a family home where all 10 of them live in there, you know, but they don't have to worry about who's watching the kids, who's this, who's that, you know, or people taking care of the kids, or if one person is emotionally available, maybe there's somebody in the house who is emotionally available, you know. And so we need to bring back community. We need to bring back family homes, and that's multiple incomes in one house. Why everybody need their separate own motherfucking home? I mean, I know I do. Just give me the basement. Y'all can have everything else, you know. But we don't all need that. But consumerism, and also the way that society conditioned us. They told us that we got to do more, we got to give more, which means effort equals abundance. That's not true. You are a magnetic being. You don't have to chase anything. You never did. You have to internally meet the resonance of that thing, which means all the shit that you holding on to is pulling you out of resonance. So what you really got to do is emotionally alchemize like you're supposed to do, because you're a water temple. You have intelligent water that's trying to communicate to you through your emotions in your body. And you ignoring that part of you, which in turn is you ignoring your soul, right? Because you cut off connection to your soul, which is in your heart. You don't want to feel anything. You just want to think everything. But you are never going to understand anything from your mind, because understanding comes from feeling. It does not come from thinking. Only helps you to organize. Thinking is about information and strategy and planning. Feeling is intuition, imagination, possibility, right? Memory. Memory is held in feeling. And so if you want to remember your past lives, you have to learn how to feel again, because they work together. How, when you see in other realms, you still scared of ghosts? LOL. I can't physically see. I can't physically see into other realms, love. I'm a feeler. So my body is an oracle. But in 2 lifetimes ago, I turned off my seership. So I can't see. My mom can see, my brother can see, but I cannot see. And that was done intentionally, because in these last 2 lifetimes, I've been in survival mode, living in a lot of fear. And so my team has kept my pineal gland veiled until I got through this shit, and which I'm glad that they did, because I had a lot of black magic attacks. I had a lot of things that were happening from me sharing the content that I'm sharing when I was doing it out of alignment, that I think if I would have seen the shit, it would have been totally different. It would have been totally different. But because I can't see, bitch, fuck you. Because I can't see what you look like. But sometimes they come in my dreams, though. Sometimes I'll see them in my dreams, and I have seen some ugly motherfuckers, and they look exactly how they put them in the TV shows and the movies and shit, and that's how I know that they be fucking knowing. But yeah, I spent time in Andromeda. Like, I think my star lineage at some time was in Andromeda, which are more like body oracles, feelers. Yes, I keep saying that. Hold on, let me see. Let me go back. Hey, Lisa. That makes sense. Thank you. You're welcome. Man, I swear I never finish anything. Yeah, it's like that sometimes. Which reading should I book first if you're wanting to learn my past self and release and level up? I would first learn your current self, right? Because I think a lot of times we so focused on the end goal, right? First you need to learn your current self, because that is the pathway to your past self. And so what I would do is an oversoul design reading, because that reading tells you how to get your energy into alignment, and I think what the problem is and why we can't get into community with our past selves and what we have been through in previous lifetimes is because we're not in alignment with our energy, and so me coming across that information changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my life. It changed my life. And now I've recoded it to be more soul encoded, because I think when it was created 100 plus years ago, it was very mental focused. And so I sat with my oversoul and I redid that shit because it really is a crystalline intelligence system that tells you how to embody your oversoul, which is what you're here to do. You're not here to ascend. Ascending is descending, meaning like the only way for you to ascend out this reality is to fully descend in your oversoul. And now that's not everybody's mission, but that's a great deal of the chosen one's mission, is to bring your God self into this reality, because you're supposed to be bringing God into form, right? God energy into form. And so I would start with the oversoul design mapping. There's 2 tiers. Tier 1 is going to be like a general. So I'll go through your energetic profile, which is going to tell you what your energy type is, what it came here to do, how you keep it in alignment, how to make decisions, what character you came here to play, your oversoul mission, which I think is important. I'll tell you what environments your oversoul embodies best in. I moved to the mountains and my oversoul was able to embody, like, for 2.5 years, because my environment is mountains, and I didn't even know this before I even moved out there. Y'all, everything is happening the way that it's supposed to happen. Whether you are aware of it or not, there is a plan bigger than you at play. I lived in the mountain for 2.5 years. My whole platform was built during that time that I was in the mountains, and I sat in the environment that allowed my oversoul to embody. Also, your strongest sense, and talk about your digestive system, because a lot of us, our intuition, our instincts, our ancestors, and that information comes through our stomach. you know. And so I talk about that, and then I'll talk about your energy centers from like a general level. Okay. Tier 2, though, is going into your masculine versus your feminine energy, which is going to tell you what you came here to contribute, what your natural talents are. And it's also going to tell you how you're experiencing this energy as well, what it looks like in alignment, what it looks like out of alignment. I also give you rituals to do if that energy is out of alignment, and I also give you crystal recommendations as well. And crystals are not going to fix anything for you. Okay. Crystals help you to anchor into the exact resonance of something, meaning like, this is a blue tiger's eye, right? This is a blue tiger's eye. This is about intuition, spiritual gifts. And so it holds that specific frequency that you need to be in, the resonance that you need to be in order to achieve these things, right? This is rondadite. Rondadite is a rock of compassion, of empathy, of self-love, right? So it shows you what the frequency of self-love is. Right. And so it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't protect you from anything. It anchors you into the resonance. And so you need to actually connect with the crystal if you're going to be using the crystal. And so you got to activate it, and then you need to connect with it because it's a consciousness, just like you a consciousness. Talk to it, tell it what you need, have it respond to you. You know, the way that I activate it is blow on it 3 times because this is the breath of life. This is your wand in this reality. You can even offer Earth your breath when you don't have nothing else. You're sending energy towards her, your life force energy, right? And so I give you crystal recommendations, but it also, outside of what you came to contribute, what energy supports you in your contribution, and this is masculine versus feminine energy, in your mind's energy or personality's energy, which is the limited part of you, and also in your body or design's energy, the feminine energy, which is the 90% of who you are, right? So when you go on your spiritual journey, you need to have this spiritual energy in alignment in order for you to even get into the subconscious mind, right? And so it's going to tell you what you contribute, what energy supports you in that, what you came here to master, what you need to move away from, what you want, what drives you in this reality, you know, what makes you emotionally unstable too, because what drives you also makes you emotionally unstable, right? It's going to tell you, come on, Taja, it's right there. It's right there. What you need in relationships or your relationship goals, what you value. It'll tell you what your spiritual life purpose is, like what energy is helping you with your spiritual life purpose, which is going to be your dreams and your goals, but things are a little elusive there. It's going to tell you what you need to face, meaning like what are going to be the hard truths that you need to face that's going to cause the most transformation. Like it tells you everything. Learning that information changed my mind not 2 weekends ago because I was in this uncertainty. I went and I looked back at my chart, and would you believe that, 3 years later, I am fully in alignment with everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And because I'm fully in alignment, this was the last thing, which is what I hopped on here to talk about, is me getting out of mentorship and me getting into teaching. This was the last thing that kind of pushed me into that energy. You know, so if you ever going to book a service from me, always do oversoul design mapping first. Okay. And because I love y'all, if you get the mini reading, because you're just trying to dip your toe in the pond, right? If you get that and you want the second reading, send me a message so that you don't have to pay twice. I can just send you an invoice for the remainder. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Oversoul design reading first. If you are a person who's just lost emotionally and you're struggling, that is going to be a mirror flame reading, because that's like a general life reading where I connect with your higher self, your ancestors, your past loved ones, your spirit guides, to figure out what you need to hear right now, what you need to focus on right now. And I'm going to give it to you, but you got to be willing to do the work. Okay. I can't do the work for you, but I can give you the information. If you want something more of like a tarot reading, I created an Oversoul Codex. Y'all know that. The Oversoul Codex, a reflective flame reading. I basically put in here everything that you would be experiencing on an emotional level. Okay. I created this Oversoul Codex with my Oversoul. Okay. I've never gotten a reading with these cards that wasn't accurate. Okay. This is available on my website, so you can go and pick a card, you know, on my website, and go to the description. It also has rituals there for you to do. It has advice, it has lessons, but this is the flame reflective reading. Okay. That's going to be in the flame lineages and also in the mirror flame live readings. Because if you get your readings on live with me, you get a discount. because we're building a community where you allow yourself to be witnessed, and maybe I say something somebody else needs to hear who maybe can't afford a reading, whatever the case may be. That's going to be the order. And then the last thing you want to get is a flame lineage reading, which is going to be high level, y'all. If you haven't gone through just the basics of your spiritual journey, I would not get a flame lineage reading. Okay. In that reading, it tells you what your soul's lineages are, which are going to be like your soul's native language. Then it's going to tell you what your imprints on your field are from past lives, like that type of thing. Sometimes it's from past life. Sometimes it's from generational trauma. Sometimes it's from relationships, but most of it has to do with like past lives. And then I'll talk about your oversoul's main function. There are several different types of oversouls that you can have. And then I'll tell you what the tones are, like how your oversoul communicates to you. I also give you integration prompts, rituals, mirror affirmations, things that you can do. There's 3 tiers within that. The first tier is just your primary lineages, which you can have up to 3. The second tier is your primary and secondary lineages, but also past life soul contracts or vows. And that's not looking into all of your past lives. It's only looking into whatever past life is still fucking you up in this life. And then I'll send you some stuff for you to, like, I send you a packet with that second reading, which is going to help you to rewrite that vow. And also it comes with a bunch of, integration prompts for each lineage that you're a part of, which you can have up to 12 of those second lineages. Or more than 12 of those second lineages. So yes, more high level. And then tier 3 is going to be, we go through all of that together. Cause tier 2, we only have 1.5 hour meeting, and I'm only getting the basics, and I put the package together. I send it to you as more self-study. But tier 3 is embodiment coaching, meaning that not only do I walk you through every single thing, but I also tell you how all the lineages intertwine with each other, meaning like, this one fixed that one fixed this one. Like, I literally go through and say, okay, if I was you, this is the way that I would go about doing my healing journey, And so it's a lot more complex. And I think you have to have a lot more of a bandwidth when it comes to spiritual language to even get there. Now, that's all of the readings that I basically offer. Now, what I'm doing now is creating coursework. I'm creating a schooling work, I guess, to take people from the beginning to the end, because I just think that we got to read what we've been taught is not what we need to know. And so now I'm trying to get us what we need to know in a school type of format, and I'm doing it very simple too. Like, y'all, I've had this analogy earlier about like how the body works, the conscious, subconscious mind, the body. But I'm doing it in like relationship to like a car. Like, the nervous system is the engine. This is that, like I'm trying to, because I'm a person who needs metaphors and storytelling and stuff, or because I teach from such a high level, the metaphors and the stories kind of help me to articulate to y'all in layman terms, what it is. And so I'm working on that, and I've been working on that all day. I need to take a break. That's why I hopped on live, but it's going to have like definitions. It's going to be like a weekly, like every single day of the week, you'll have something to do, but it's not like a recording every single day of the week. You'll probably get 3 recordings a week. But there'll also be like homework. There'll be meditations. There'll be visualizations. I'm going to walk you through and show you how to feel what part of you is actually the observer, like little shit that we can do like in the meantime, in between time. But then there's also going to be like a heavy lesson, like probably like, I would probably say 20-30 minutes each week. So I can bring it all full circle. But there's also going to be different course paths as well, meaning like I eventually want to have a high priestess path. I eventually want to have a architect path, because some of y'all are architects, which is going to look a little bit more like mental focus, meaning like you're meant to put things into form. So I eventually want to teach people human design from the soul encoded lens. And then I eventually want to teach astrology as the oversoul mapping system, because astrology is supposed to tell you how your oversoul embodies. And so I'm eventually going to get into that as well. And so I'm putting together the basics right now, and then I'm just going to keep going with these. I'm thinking like 6 to 8 week intensives that kind of help you to understand who you are, that you're not your pain, you're not your body. Your body is where you are, but it's not who you are, And so just explaining some of these concepts that I feel like from a very basic kindergarten level, so that we can understand ourselves better and how we actually work, because we've only been told what not to do, not to what actually to do, because they want you to pay for what actually to do. And even when you do pay, it's so convoluted that you can't even understand what the fuck that means for you. So yeah. So I'm working on that, because I realized that I am the teacher. I would rather be the teacher than the person jumping in the boat and trying to help with the shadow work and stuff like that. Even though I think there is going to be a shadow work component to this, because I don't want to just leave y'all in the middle of the ocean, and just tell y'all to swim home. But I don't want that to be my whole job anymore, because I have a lot of spiritual mentors, and I think that my job is very heavy sometimes for me, because I get triggered. I still get triggered because I'm in the process of healing. I'm not fully healed, which I don't think I'll ever fully fucking be healed. Do you recommend meditation and how to do it personally? Also, no, I think it's Naomi. I hope I said that right. I actually just explained that like 15 minutes ago for meditation. So I'm going to post this on YouTube, and I want you to check this out on YouTube. It'll be the last live as soon as I get off. Okay. Or you can go to YouTube right now since I'm still live, and you can just rewind it. But yes, I do recommend meditation, but I recommend it as stillness rather than meditation. Because I think people think meditation, you're supposed to see something, and it causes so much confusion around like what to expect. And so I just explained what to expect, what I would do when it comes to meditation, stillness, and all of that, and how to get you there. Okay, so it's on my YouTube, and go check that out, my love. True, I'm having a hard time today trying to separate my pain from who I am. It's really hard, as somebody, and I think again that's the beauty in my gift, is that I can see the beauty in the pain, because I've lived life very emotionally intensely. Very emotionally intensely. I have a Scorpio moon, baby. It don't get more intense than that. I think I felt everything, and on top of that, I was gifted. Um, and I think that kind of makes it worse, because you notice things that other people don't notice. And if you speak up about those things, you've done something wrong. Or if you're a person who doesn't understand why people lie, I don't understand that. I don't understand that, because I'm not a liar. So I wouldn't know why you would be lying to me, And it's like, it's hard, is what I'm saying. But you aren't your pain. Those are things that you have experienced, and you are in full control, because you give the permission to what you experience. And let me not say, when you was a kid, if there was something that happened or anything like that, no, I'm not saying that is your fault. I am not saying that. Okay. But you can change the life that you live in right now if you change your resonance. But if you sit in the energy of that, or feeling like your pain, or feeling like the victim of something, that's the resonance you're embodying. And so you're giving permission to wherever you are, because you haven't decided to embody another resonance. Okay. And so my suggestion is always going to be alchemy. Give yourself space, give yourself compassion, give yourself time, for sure. But stop telling yourself the story over and over again. Because if you tell yourself the story over and over again, your mind can't tell if it's happening right now or if it happened a week ago. If it's happening right now or if it happened 10 years ago. And so you start to relive it, and then you're re-embodying it. And it's like you being on a loop, And so in order for you to stop re-embodying it, find a way to honor that pain in some way. Focus on what the lesson was that it taught you. Give yourself some compassion, give the other people compassion if you feel you need to. My thank you letters to other people usually start off with fuck you, but thank you for teaching me this, that, and that, because had you not come along and been a disgusting human being, I would have not learned that. It don't have to be nice. It just has to be true, and it's got to be authentic, and it's got to be honest, and I think honesty is looking at both sides. I can honestly say, yeah, you had me fucked up, but also realize that we trauma bonded. You experiencing the same motherfucking trauma as me, ho. And you trying to protect yourself. I'm trying to protect myself. And that don't work very well together, because ain't nobody looking out for the other person. Everybody looking out for themselves. I think honesty is what we need to bring back. But I think we're in an environment that feeds off of our pain. It feeds off of our fear. And so it doesn't really tell us what to do with our pain, or how to move that, or how to move past that, But I did see a video the other week that completely changed my life when it came to that. And so it was a lady who had said that when she was a kid, she was molested by like a family member or something like that. And she was like, she saw him years later and she walked up to him and she was like, you know what? I forgive you. And he was like, forgive me for what? And she said that she had literally said that she had healed from this event, you know, and she had forgiven him, but she was telling him in person just so that he knows that she forgives him. And he said, for what? And she said she got angry. And that's when she realized she didn't actually heal it. She was just wearing it as a badge. Like some of us go through very painful things and we think we get our value from that. You know, we think that we overcome this thing. And in spite of that, I'll still become a doctor. I'll still become this. And we wear that as like a badge of honor. Like, even though the odds were stacked against me, these are all the things I did in spite of that. Right. Sometimes it fuels us in a different way. And so she had realized she had been wearing that as a badge and she hadn't actually forgiven him. And he just don't even care. He was able to move on through his life. He's not the one living it over and over again. At some point, she started doing it to herself. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is like, he's gone on with his life. He's went in a whole different direction. He's not even thinking about that. You keep repeating it to yourself. And so now you become the one who is re-traumatizing yourself. Not saying that the initial trauma didn't cause trauma, but now you're doing it to yourself. And so she realized in that moment, like she ran up to him and she thanked him. He was like, thank me for what? And she just walked away. But she realized that she gets to choose something else. Just like he chose to leave it, she gets to choose too. She's only holding on to it because she wants it as a badge of honor. You know, like, I've been through this. I felt that because I feel like I lived a very poverty-stricken life. You know, I come from the bottom. Like, I come from the bottom. We didn't have clothes. If we had clothes, half the time it was fucking hand-me-downs. You know, we didn't have a lot. And because we didn't have a lot, you know, I take this shit personal. I went to college. I did this. I'm a D1 athlete. You know, ain't nobody had to pay for my school. I had to figure that shit out by myself. I had to get a job before everybody else because I had to figure that out by myself. I've been working since I was fucking young because I had to figure that shit out by myself. You know, and although that is a great accolade for myself, if I keep repeating that, it's the part of me that's still seeking that validation, that's repeating that. I want somebody to say, good job, Taja. When in reality, I'm just putting myself back into the energy when I don't have to. Yes, I've overcome it. Now overcome it. Now actually overcome it. Because if you're still holding on to it, you haven't let it go. It's still a part of how you identify yourself. And that's why I think identity is so dangerous. Trying to tie yourself to a specific identity keeps you stuck into a box. You don't get to be anything else but that thing. I'm more than just the trauma that I've been through. I'm more than just the pain that I've been through. Am I not? Look at the impact. The impact is crazy. Right? Give yourself permission to be more than what you've been through. Yes, it happened, but that is not a defining moment for you. Did it teach you something big? Hell fucking yeah. Take that lesson with you. But the story, let the story die. Unless there's something you navigating in your reality right now, or there's somebody who needs to hear from that version of you, don't bring that version of you back up, because then that version of you is just living in your field. She just hanging out with you every single day. And you like, why am I depressed? Because this bitch is sitting right here next to you depressed. That's why. Because you keep inviting that version of you forward, because all the versions of you exist inside of you. You know, so if I was you, let me give you some advice. And this is just what I would do. What you need to do is get a piece of paper, and I want you to write a line down that paper. And then I want you to tag it with every version that you ever been up until now. Tag it, because at some point you was playing somewhere. You know, at this point in time, or whatever major event happened for you, whatever major event or trauma happened for you, tag it on the timeline. Right? Them is the versions of you that you need to go revisit. Them is the versions of you need to have a conversation with, because them versions was not acknowledged by nobody. And so it's still trying to get acknowledged externally, when in turn, you need to acknowledge them. You need to acknowledge them because they're still trying to control from behind the scenes. Right? So do a timeline, mark all your trauma. Start with the first version of you. Okay? Go into meditation, you know, see yourself in a black space, like literally floating through space. Ain't nothing in front of you, behind you, and on top of you, below you. Focus on feeling safe in that space. That's the first thing you want to do. Focus on feeling safe in that space. So if you got to imagine yourself floating backwards and there's a bunch of grocery bags on your arms and you letting them grocery bags go, fine. If you got to imagine yourself in a fat suit and you got to unzip that fat suit and come out as your authentic self, fine. Play around with it though. Cultivate the safety first, and then see a door appear in front of you. Walk up to that door, and on the other side of that door is the safest place you ever been. Okay, if you can't think of the safest place you ever been, see a grassland with a big tree in the middle. Okay, when you open that door, you're going to be on that other, whatever version that you picked is going to be on the other side. Walk up to that version and start a conversation. Don't judge yourself for the stuff that come up. You'll be surprised. You will be surprised at how that version responds to you in your head. And just have that conversation with yourself. Literally start a conversation. Notice the person's demeanor. You know, the first time I did this, I was 4 years old. I was sitting in my grandparents' house in their little back room because that's the only place I really felt safe as a kid. I walked into myself and I was like, I noticed I looked sad. And I said, what's wrong? That's what started the conversation. I was on that. I was talking to myself for 45 minutes. That shit cracked me open so much. Tears couldn't even come out. It was so much energy pulling my head back that I couldn't even get tears out. It literally felt like something cracked down the middle of my head. I started that conversation. I had that conversation with myself. I was boohoo crying. Then guess what I did when I got out? I journaled. And then after that, because I felt so good, because I cried like a big cry, you know? I said, oh shit, I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't expecting that, right? And then after that weekend, I felt so good. It's like I became a different person because that's how you move emotional energy. Your tears are portals. They move you through the energy, move you out of the energy, damn near, you know? And so then I was like, okay, well, I got to meet all the other versions of myself. You do too, because they all is living in your field causing havoc. And you wondering why you confused. You got 7 different versions of you trying to have a say-so, all trying to protect themselves because they feel unprotected. You got to go back in. You got to acknowledge yourself. You got to acknowledge your pain. Whatever it is that they tell you, tell them. What you respond back to them with is whatever you would say to your child if your child was telling you that. Whatever you needed to hear as a child that you didn't hear. Then you give them a hug and you tell them, I got you. Back then, our circumstances have changed. Back then, we had to depend on other people. You got me now. Because the truth of the matter is that you're not all those old versions of yourself. You are the version of you witnessing those versions. But if you don't realize that, and you don't have awareness that you're not that version, you're the version witnessing that version, you're going to keep replaying and looping and looping and looping. And it don't do you any good. OMG, girl, yes, thank you. You're welcome. Give yourself permission to be more than what you've been through. Yeah. Hate the test. Never thought of it like that. Yeah, I think that's again a testament to the gift. You know, I think what I'm trying to do more is, or what I've been trying to do, or what I've been trying to do with my platform is help people to see the beauty in the shadows, because there's so much beauty in what you have been through. And you don't even realize, you know, we think of that shit like punishment and not even realizing that you got skills that other kids don't have because you've been through the worst of it. You have skills that other people don't have. You know, me, I can read people quickly. Why? Because I had unpredictable parents and I didn't want to get hit upside the motherfucking head. I also got an unpredictable brother. A bitch got to know when to duck. Okay. And so I became really good at reading people quickly. Still to this day, I know who you are almost when I meet you. See, but you don't realize when you was a kid, you was closer to the spiritual realms. And so those gifts were loud. The ones that you hold on to are the ones that you needed. And so you think you need to get in touch with your gifts and stuff like that. You already are, especially if you come from the shadows, right? Because your experience is different than somebody who's privileged. I think privileged people walk through this reality and they don't understand us because in order for you to fully understand something, you have to have experienced it yourself. And so for them, they get down to $100,000. They're ready to jump off that bridge. They're ready to, right? We get $100,000, we flipping and smacking that bitch and rubbing it down. Two different lenses, right? So you are more prepared for this reality than they are. Why? Because you know how to navigate chaos. That is a gift. You know how to navigate chaos. You know how to cultivate peace within chaos. Because one thing about us, we still gonna have fun. You know? But we think that's punishment. No, that's your initiation. Nobody's more qualified than you to heal this place. Nobody's more qualified than you. But you don't heal this place by trying to heal this place. You heal this place by healing you so that you can get back into your original resonance. And when you at your tone, you send a ripple out to the collective, and you've affected 17,000 people by just one of us getting in our tone. It only takes one, just like it only takes one in the bloodline to clear the bloodline. It only takes one. You heal, you fix, you save yourself, you know, and allow yourself to be different while you do that. You know, I thought this whole time that I was going to spend the rest of my life being a spiritual mentor, you know, helping, like literally getting in the dirt with people. It wasn't until I realized that I was moving out of survival that I am a teacher. That's who I am. That's what I would rather do. Is that, you know, because I think a lot of us who done been through the worst of it, we try to save other people from experiencing the shit that we've been through. And we think that that's our purpose, but not realizing that's a trauma response. And until you can get through that, until you can really figure out yourself, until you have it all, because I did that to a very high level. And then I realized I still wasn't satisfied. Now I'm still burning out. Why? Because that's not actually in alignment. That's still me moving in the trauma. You know? So as you continue to grow and evolve and learn yourself, you learn deeper and deeper. And so you got to be comfortable with whatever you think you know about yourself, you don't. Because it's not that you becoming something. You're not becoming anything. You're remembering. You're unburying yourself from all the shit that people put on top of you. They said, no, you can't do that. You can't be that version of you. They burying you while you alive. Thank you. Thank you, girl. You know, it only takes one. Yes, Cynthia. Your teachings changed my life forever, and I won't ever forget you. Oh my God. Thank you, girl. Yes, I've been saying I'm rediscovering myself. Yeah, it's about rediscovering yourself. But I appreciate you for saying that, the test, because I think for a long time I just didn't believe in myself, you know, because I was the person who like was always being told to shut up. You know, like nobody really wants to be deep. Everybody wants to be surface level. And I'm absolutely the person who has ventured into them deep waters, you know. And so I think people are very comfortable staying the same, and being that I'm a person who needs evolution, who needs change, who literally my whole life has been a testament to change, right? Sometimes it's really difficult sometimes that louder voice feels truer, you know. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes the louder voice feels like it must be true, but it's not, you know. It's not. And so what I've really been doing in these last couple of months is learning how to truly trust in myself, you know, and trust in my ability to lead, even from a place of still learning, you know, because I don't think we're ever gonna know fully. I think that we have to give ourselves space and willingness to try, you know, because that's what opens up new timelines, is your willingness to try new things, you know, to try to understand what somebody else is saying, you know, taking the path of a person who is curious, opposed to someone who is trying to protect themselves, because protecting yourself is you moving out of that limited mind and fear, right? So either you're going to protect yourself or you're going to look for clarity. One of the two. You know, I choose to look for clarity because through me looking for that clarity, I found myself over and over and over and over again. And through me understanding my human design, I realized that I'm not supposed to just be one version of me. I go through cycles. There's a rhythm that I have. And in each cycle, I'm somebody else. And people always say, Tadra, you've been 1,000 people. Yeah, I have. Because I was never supposed to be one. I am consciousness exploring myself through different perspectives and through different lenses. And so if you don't allow yourself to explore yourself through different lenses, then you're doing yourself a disservice, you know, as to why you came here. Hey, love made me. Hey, boo. For the most part, I like talking things out and sometimes talk to myself, if that makes sense. Oh, Linda, I'm always talking to myself. If they was in this house, they put me in a straitjacket. Because I love talk. I'm my own best friend. And I mean that seriously. Nobody understands me like me. Okay. Nobody understands me like me. You know, I show up for myself, so I don't expect that from the people outside of me. I love myself and give myself what I need because I don't expect that from the people outside of me. You know, I have conversations with myself all the time because that's how I figure things out. And most of the time when you walking around your house and you talking to yourself, it's not you talking to yourself. It is your higher self talking to you. But your higher self is the only self that uses the same voice as you. Your higher self is really hard for you to tell when you're talking and your higher self is talking. The only way that I can tell is that if I interrupt my higher self, the stream goes away. I can't finish the sentence because I don't know what it was about to say, you know? And so I'll be like, oh, that's my higher self. And then I go quiet and then I let it finish its download. But it's like a stream of information, if that makes sense, when it's your higher self. Your higher self is the guardian of this incarnation, this specific incarnation. So your higher self is a sixth density version of you who's looked back and said, okay, let me help the other fragments of me that are still broken, right? And so, and it's not even broken, but fragmented, meaning disconnected from source. Let me not say broken because none of us are broken, right? We're just looking at it from a different lens. And the higher self says, hey, look over here, right? But the higher self can never get in community with you if you don't love yourself. I mean, if you don't see the beauty in your experiences, because you think that something is wrong with the plan. And if you think something is wrong with the plan and something is wrong with you, why would you listen to the version of you that created you? You know, like, why would you take advice from them if you don't even think you think that they done everything wrong? You know? So in order, the pathway to your higher self is, I heard this song in a minute. This is my shit. See Queen Naija. On October 25th or whenever this is what we want. Sorry. What did you say? What was I saying? Oh, the pathway to your higher self is self-love. You have to love the version of yourself that you are. And if there's things, and you're not the things that you've done, you know, you're not your experiences, the things you experience, but you're also not the things that you've done, right? You're the version witnessing that version of you, but not the version who did those things, right? And so you got to forgive yourself. If there was something that you didn't like how you responded to something, your life is about refinement because it's about authenticity. It was never about perfection. School taught you that life was about perfection, perfect attendance, valedictorian. They told you survival of the fittest. There's a hierarchy. And if you're not first, you're last, right? That was all to condition you to get your validation from something external of you, okay? That was pulling you out of alignment because education is not about educating you. It's about conditioning you so that you can be obedient and you can be compliant. That is it. It wants you working in a 9 to 5 so that you can build wealth for the 1%. It does not give a fuck about you. It doesn't care that you know the truth. It only cares that you know their truth, his story. Why? Because that's what's going to keep you compliant. And they know that a lot of times we need a cause in order for us to understand what we're doing, right? Because they pushed us towards the mental part of us that needs proof. And so they give it to us and we don't question it. Right? And so we're always looking for something external of us. But you are the thing that you're looking for. There's nothing outside of you because you're the whole consciousness level. Me and you, I'm one spiral of infinite potential. You're one spiral of infinite potential. But outside of us being the temporary version of us, we are actually the whole field of infinite potential. And so even though I've chosen this body, this infinite spiral to create through in this lifetime, I'm also all of the other energy. Does that make sense? I got lost in why I told you that, but you know, y'all know sometimes I'll just be yapping. Good evening, new followers and first time here to learn. Thank you. Oh, hey, welcome, my love. I love how you said that. Oh, period. I don't know what I said, girl, but period. We're remembering our wholeness. Exactly. We think that we fragment ourselves, meaning like all these different versions that all these different traumas. That's how we fragment ourselves. We hold on to the damn event, and so that version is now separate from us. We remember that version, and we never gonna let that version die, right? And so now there's this Taja that's experiencing reality right now. Also, this Taja who experienced trauma, and if you keep doing that, you got all these different fragments of yourself living in one field, all trying to be heard. It's like a fucking assembly meeting. And you don't know who the fuck is talking because you don't know who got the fucking mic, you know? So you have to remember yourself. The way you remember yourself is you integrate those fragments. Okay, girl, I see what you did there. You know, because I done did some shit. I ain't no perfect motherfucking angel. You know, I done did some shit. Okay, there's a part of me I had to forgive a couple times because I be thinking revenge. I don't be thinking cry in the car. I be thinking revenge in the most diabolical way. You know, I have a fascinating mind. When I do it, I promise you I'm going to do it better. Right? But see, that's not who I like to be. And so I had to forget that version of myself and say, hey, you were just trying to survive. You were just trying to protect yourself. You know, and they told you an eye for an eye. You believed them. Ain't nothing wrong with that. They lied to you. That's not what your soul likes. But you know, that's what you did. You don't like that you moved that way? Great. You don't have to keep moving that way. It's the Scorpio. The Scorpio is absolutely revenge. And we coming up on Scorpio. Like the sun is moving into Scorpio in a couple days. Anyways, you know, so you're going to have to forget them versions of yourself, but you reintegrate them. I love you, girl. I seen that you were just trying to protect yourself. Okay. You know, you feel like that's what you had to do at the moment. Fine. That's what we did. Fuck it. That's not who I am anymore. And that's okay. You know, I think sometimes too, we take everything as a defining moment because we so focused on figuring ourselves out. We'll have one event and it's like that one event is an event where you acted outside of yourself. And it's just like, no, that's who I am now. And it's like, but you have 1,000 different scenarios that happen where you acted other than that. This is the one time out of 1,000 times now all of a sudden you are untrustworthy person. Like, we gotta be for real. We gotta be for real sometimes. Okay, what's the difference between the higher self and the oversoul? So your higher self is the you. The six is a sixth density version of you, meaning like it's a version that's almost incarnated out of this reality. It's on this like last leg. And so you could think of us as like being like you know how like when you go to be a teacher and you have to do like you got to have a classroom basically, but it's like there's a teacher in the classroom, but you like the teacher's aide. It's like you have to do like a little final, you know, thing to prove that you could be a teacher, you know, like that's kind of like what they're doing before they elevate out of this specific energy or frequency band that we in. And so they look back and they say, okay, how can I help myself, you know, come along, because the goal is wholeness for our whole monad, you know, not just this version of us. Right. And so the higher self is you, the higher version of you that helps you specific to this incarnation. It only has to do with this version of you, right? This lifetime of you. The oversoul is every single version of you you've ever been in any planetary system ever. Your oversoul holds your blueprint, your original design, your mission. It holds your past life information. It holds everything. And the way you get to your oversoul is through your heart. Right? Because your heart is the neutral point. Your heart is magnetic too. It's what creates this entire field. But your heart is the vault of your soul memory. Your womb is your ancestral memory. Your heart is your soul memory. And so your oversoul speaks to you through your heart after 33, after you have embodied. But your oversoul remembers everything. Every version of you ever been in you in earth is just at the bottom. You coming back up, but you had to come down first. And me, I came through Lyra, then Atlantis, then, you know, you have to come down first, right? I hope that answers it. My problem is that I've never gone quiet and let me finish my thoughts. I just be like, why am I like this? Got you. They want us to be good candidates for the prison system. Yeah, it's either you're going to be in the public working for them or you're going to be in prison. That's the thing. You know, that's the thing. And I tell you what, I've never been compliant in my life. Not with structures. I think with people that I love, yeah, they could get me to do what they want me to do. But people, what you mean nothing ever made sense to me. Like nothing. And I was a history buff. Like I loved history class. Like they would be telling me stuff and I'm like, yeah, but like some of it, I would ask questions and don't nobody got no answers to my questions. And I think my teacher actually loved his job too at history. So he would appreciate my questions, but I think that they was a little too deep. He hadn't asked his own questions, And so yeah, nothing ever made sense to me. And especially after I graduated, I was like, why did y'all teach me all of this if I'm not going to be you? I don't use none of that. So why did you teach it to me? That was the question. I was like, why did I need to know this? Or why did you feel like I needed to know this? What impression does it leave on me? I was thinking about that the other day, the whole survival of the fittest. That's how they move because they want, and not only that, the patriarchy is rooted in fear. The patriarchy is rooted in fear. And I think the problem that we having with men is that men don't know that they moving from fear because they moving out of control, right? They think they controlling, they dominating, they're conquering. They don't realize that that's fear, And so it's rooted in fear because the fear of getting it wrong, the fear of losing your money, the fear of whatever. And so they need to be at the 1%. They need to reach the highest heights so that they never lose anything, so that they're always in control. What do they fear? The people who at the bottom of the pyramid. Why? Why do you think they fear us? Us at the bottom of the pyramid. Those of us who don't have any privilege, right? Who don't have privilege in the system? The only people who don't have privilege in the system are Black women. Melanin is a spiritual conductor. All right. Anyways, I don't even want to get into all of that today. Hey, Locks Queen. Anytime, baby. Am I late? I've been on here for probably like an hour 37 minutes and 44 seconds. You teaching and giving life, period. Thank you. Hey, soul surgeon. I like your name. Ego got the mic most of the time. It does. It's because we think the mind is the master. We try to figure everything out with the mind, and the mind can't figure anything out. And that's why so many of us are stagnant and confused and emotionally overwhelmed, because you're trying to understand feeling with thought. And they are completely two different energies. It's electricity with magnetism. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. How do you get to understanding parts of yourself? You explore yourself. Look back at the previous versions of you. What did you like? What didn't you like? The things that you like, keep them. The things that you don't, change them. Then you need to explore yourself right now. You need to try new things, because willingness to try new things opens new doors. So if you like, if you've had interested in pottery your whole life, but you never took a pottery class, take a pottery class. If you have interest in art, try art. If you don't know what you're interested in, then great. You can try anything. Literally, just pick something. and the things that you're going to be excited about is going to be that's your soul saying yes. The things that you have to force yourself to do, that's your soul saying no. And so pay attention to how things make you feel, not what you think about them. How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel good? Yes. Did it make you feel bad? No. Boundary. Move away. That's it. But you understand yourself by exploring yourself, which means you got to sit with yourself. You got to say the hard things out loud that you've been refusing to say because you know what they are. You're just afraid to say them. You got to say the hard things. You got to look back at who you've been, why you are the way that you are, because sometimes we just living out the projections of other people. Sometimes we just still trying to appease our parents. Sometimes we still trying to be something instead of who we are, you know? And then you got to try new things. You got to meet new people, because it's still, sometimes people, the things you love in other people is the things that exist inside of you that you won't give yourself permission to be. That friend that's exuberant or creative or whatever, you don't give yourself permission to be that. And so you live vicariously through them. Tell me I'm lying. I'm working on me for the first time. I love that for you. Since I'm drinking wine, what did I miss? I think I'm late, but I've been crying a lot lately. It's okay, girl. That's why I came on here, because I had a tough week. And I said, you see me, I'm in the motherfucking hoodie. Okay. Hair looking crazy. No, girl, we just was talking about life and just figuring ourselves out, and I'm realizing right now that I've been still operating from a unhealed lens. And so now I need to change the lens. And so I'm moving more into teaching than mentorship and stuff like that, which is good. Hi, I just found your page. I don't know how to explain this, but you verbalize the language my mind speaks, period. I love that for you, Brittany. I love that for us. When you going in like this, I miss a lot. Yeah, girl. And it really didn't even start off like that. You know, like I feel like sometimes my lives become transmissions, meaning like I come on for like one purpose and then somebody say something and it just becomes a whole nother thing, which is okay though. Oh, wow. Okay. That makes so much sense. Are you interested in earning extra legitimate income? No, I actually don't want to work ever, you know? So there's that. Is that why I find myself patting my heart? It could be. Yes, nothing never made sense to me at all. At all. I was looking at the teachers like, y'all a bunch of motherfucking liars. They are becoming extinct. Yeah. You are naturally pretty. Thank you. I chose this face. So yeah. And you not lying. Hey Chloe, where you been at, girl? I love this live. Oh, period. I do too. I think it became something great. But yeah, I'm working in a new direction, and I'm really excited about it, because I feel like when I get an energy like this, I know I'm about to eat. I know I'm about to eat. It's just a matter of how I'm gonna organize the shit. And I've been doing some planning. I literally am understand. It's like through me doing this new journey, I'm learning even more. I thought I had it all figured out. I don't. And I love when I don't have it all figured out, because that means there's an opportunity for me to figure it out, at least at what level I'm at. And then I get to share it. And then it just keeps coming. I'm trying to figure out my purpose. Happy I came across your page. Oh, hey, Dallas. Your purpose is to figure out who you are. That's it. That's everybody's purpose. Your purpose is to live authentically. And when you do that, you become magnetic, and abundance is guaranteed to you. That's it. And it seems like it's not that simple, but it is. We've been conditioned a specific way, because whatever we believe or whatever we expect to happen is what we give permission to, right? We give permission for that to happen. It's energetic consent. And so we think that we have to put in effort in order for us to be abundant, because that's what they told us. Okay, baby. I'll look at the email as soon as I hop off. Because that's what they told us. And until we start, and now, because they also conditioned us to need proof that there's another way. And they unalive everybody who is the proof. We think that we have to work hard, and that our purpose is in their system. Your purpose was never in a system. And that's why your soul never feels fulfilled in a system. They're stealing your energy so that you don't have any for you to create. You came here to embody your oversoul, and you came here to bring creation into form through your experiences. That's everything you've been through in your life is what helps you to create what you came here to create. It was all an initiation. It's what makes you qualified. So what you go through between 0 and 30, that's what makes you qualified. The Saturn return is the last edge. The Saturn return is the moment where actually 25 is when you start to go from trauma to healing, right? It's when you start that your soul starts to stir and you start to ask, is there something else out here? You look around at your friends at the club and you say, I don't know if I want to be here no more, right? That's what happens at 25, right? You start to awaken, right? 29 and a half, you have your Saturn return. Your Saturn return is the part that tells you there are restrictions and limitations that you placed on yourself because somebody else told you that you should. What are they? Get them out of here. Because on the other side of Saturn is abundance. And it says if you want to actually be free, you have to stop trying to appease other people, right? That's what Saturn return is about. And people talk about the Saturn return like it's a horrible thing that's going to happen to you and it's going to turn your life upside down. Yeah, because you live in a life that don't belong to you, because you live in your life for other people. And so Saturn says, bitch, get your mind right. Because you had from 25 to 29 and a half to get your shit together, but you ain't do it. And so Saturn comes in like the big sister who grew up around all boys and says, I hope you're ready to fight about it. And that's why you usually come out of your Saturn return as a new person, as a different person, looking at life differently. You don't care about the same things that you cared about before because Saturn just put you through hell, put you in a full motherfucking Nelson and you couldn't breathe for about a year and a half. Right? But Saturn is your friend. Saturn is showing you where you've put limitations on yourself and where society has put limitations on you. And all that shit is keeping you from yourself. Saturn is a boundary planet. But the boundaries are coming from outside of you or now inside of you because you let the outside affect you. Saturn is about purification. And I'm heavily ruled by Saturn. That's why you get instant karma with Saturn, because Saturn is like, bitch, now you know that wasn't you. Now you know that was out of pocket. When you ruled by Saturn, you can't play those crackhead games. Stupid games win stupid prizes, you know? And then at 33, you embody your oversoul. That's when your true purpose starts to come in. 36, you integrate it. Meaning like from 33 to 36, you're really only getting to understand what your purpose is and what you actually want in life. You know, people think, at 18, you're supposed to have that figured out. You're technically not supposed to know that until 33. The work to start to get you to know that is at 25 when your prefrontal cortex fully develops. So technically, you're not supposed to know who you are until after 30. But they want you to try to figure it out early. Why? Because they can't wait. They need you to start giving them money now. They're trying to find out a way to get this money by tomorrow. So they tell you, 18, we need you in the system. Go to the military, go to prison, or go into the work field. Period. And if you stay in your mama's house and you're a grown person, she gets no benefits. Right? Now, because there's a grown adult in the house, oh no, there's a man in that house. You get no benefit. You get no help from the state. It's really fucked up how they do us. If we really look at it, it's really fucked up. But you're not supposed to have it figured out. That's why most people go to college for something. They end up doing something else. Have you ever seen Girlfriends? Joan went to college to be a lawyer because that's what her parents wanted her to do. And she was miserable. What she wanted to do was own a motherfucking bar. And she ended up later on owning the bar. There's so many of us who have to do that, who waste thousands of dollars trying to do it their way. And the reason why they do that is because even if you don't end up in the system, they've conditioned you in some way. You've paid them thousands of dollars, right? They've already tapped your pockets. They tapped you. Now you're tired. They done worked you into the damn ground. You're tired. You're exhausted. You don't even got the energy to figure out who you want to be. That's the goal. So then they want you to fold. They want you to collapse. Why? Because if you fold or you collapse, what you going to do? You're going to get one of their jobs. I'm talking about the corporations. You're going to get one of their jobs. They want you to fear failure. And they want you to look at life as if things are, as if you can fail. That's why they put you in school from 5 and they tell you, nope, this is an F. Failure. And that's the worst thing you can do, right? Because your mama don't tell you what to do in school. She just tell you don't fail that bitch. Right? So the worst thing you could possibly do is fail. And they condition you into that mindset from a very young age. And they tell you how to succeed. This is how you succeed, but they only give you one option. You build up in my system. That's how you become a millionaire, a billionaire, right? The reason why they need to off the tech bros, and they did it all in a motherfucking couple months, who was getting money off of Bitcoin and shit like that. Why? Because they didn't, half of them ain't had to go to school. We talking about teenager. One of them was 19, millionaire overnight. First, they tried to lock him out of his account. He couldn't access his account anymore, and then he died in a helicopter crash. Why? Because everybody knew about it. So everybody started getting to Bitcoin, and they said, oh, no, we can't be having that. Because then who's going to come through our system if we all rich? Right? You are better off going to a vocational school, a technical school. People who do hair and do nails make more money than teachers. You better off going to a technical school. They don't want you to know that because it only take you a couple months to go through a technical school, and it's inexpensive. They need you to spend that $100,000 a year. We the only country that's for profit in education and healthcare. Why y'all think that? But we the land of the free? That don't even make sense. They sell you one thing, but they're doing the other. And they teach you not to question anything, because when you question shit in church, what they tell you, don't question God. When you question things in school, well, I'm teaching you where you're going off track. I'm teaching you this. Focus on this. You give your mama feedback, then what she do? Exactly what the teacher did to her. Right? You at work, you work on the phones, you gotta let them know that you gotta use the bathroom. It don't make sense. None of it does. Yeah, it's crazy. But what's crazy is we don't even understand that our country has been hijacked. That we hired them for services. We hired them to provide us police, fire departments, things for our town that we couldn't do by ourselves, or people couldn't do it by themselves no more. And so we hired them to handle that and to handle international commerce, right? So the 50 states, which I don't understand, they're their own country. We the only place that got 50 states in one place, and we one full country, but we got different states within that country. We the only one with states, right? And it's because they designated each state its own country. Why? Because now they have jurisdiction over international commerce. And so now we were a full country. You can go anywhere within that country. But now if you cross from Indiana over into Ohio, you're in a different country. You fall under a different jurisdiction. And now the FBI can be involved, right? Because they handle international commerce. And so more of the story is we're republics. We're not a democrat. We're not a democracy. We're every single state is its own republic, which means that they're responsible for making their own money. They're responsible for making their own laws. The only people we answer to is the governor and the mayor. But our governors and our mayors have sold us out and pledged our energy as collateral for their debts, the bankers. Y'all don't hear me though. And so you own nothing. Even if you own your land, you own nothing. They got it in a trust. And that's why if you get your car repoed, if you get your car towed today and it's paid off, they can sell that bitch. Why? Because you own nothing. You got a state tag on the back that say that that's property of the state. It say Indiana license number is registered to the state. It's not registered to you. It's under your name, but that name is in all capital letters, which means it's under your trust name. All of it is a lie. All of it is a lie. Every single bit of it is a lie. Okay? They're administrators of our trust, but we don't need an administrator. If you just come forward and say, I'm 18, I can handle my own estate. The problem is that they haven't taught us how to handle our estate. They teach lawyers how to do that because lawyers are the middlemans. Right? They take away your sovereignty. They take away your sovereignty and they make you dependent on them so we can never fire them. You get to decide. You know? You can take back your side. You can correct your status right now and get out of their system. Right now. Half of y'all, they told y'all that all black people came from Africa. That's been disproven over and over and over again, actually. That's been disproven over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. A lot of y'all are indigenous to this land. But you don't know that you're indigenous because a lot of the Native Americans, which they even have articles of this that you can look, like you got to know where to fucking look. But they got articles where they was having Asian people come over and be signed in as or $5 Indians is what they was calling them. But them being Native Americans. One of the top 3 fibs ever. Looking to secure party creditor, y'all. Go on to YouTube, type in robots and patriots. You know? The moral of the story is I can't see myself leaving for another country either because every time that I do, Spirit tells me this is your land, though. Like, this is your land. This is your land. What do you mean move to another country? You know, my mom's dad's side of the family grew up on a reservation. My grandmother's side of the family, she was one of those. She was like a real life Pocahontas. Her name was Morning Dawn. She was actually sold to the white man as collateral. You know? And so my family's in the Book of Rose on one side. Other side of the family, we was burnt off a big reservation. You know, a lot of us come from South Carolina, North Carolina area. The Cherokee Indians was the originals that were there. It was a huge plantation that spanned across, or not plantation, but reservation that spanned across South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. It was huge. They burnt us off the land and then retitled it because it's a natural disaster, right? That's what they do. They natural disaster it. Oh, it was a catastrophe and they swoop in and steal the land like they did in Hawaii, right? That's what they did. They've been doing that forever. They don't got another, they don't have a original bone in their motherfucking body. They just keep repeating history, keep doing the same thing. Morning Dawn is beautiful. Yes. Her hair was all the way down to her feet. There's actually like a memorial set up for her. You know? I think tired is a good place to be, though, because when you get exhausted, when you get angry, you'll do something about it. But until you get angry, you ain't gonna do shit about it, you know? And they tell us anger is bad. That's why they tell us anger is bad, because anger is the part of you that says we need boundaries, we need change. Something has to be done different. And they tell you, don't be an angry black. Don't be, specifically black women. Y'all not allowed to be angry. Y'all don't think that that's on purpose? Why? Because when we get angry, we shake the fucking table. Because we're untamed, unfiltered feminine energy. And they want to tell you that feminine energy is soft and nice and sweet. And that's what they reward in society. Why? Because they don't want the destructive side of you. The side of you that'll burn all this shit down for something new to be forged. They don't want you to be in that energy. Because you are creation, but you're also destruction. I brought you into this world. I will take you out of this motherfucker. But they don't want you in that energy. Because you can see the whole board. We are beings of chaos. Absolutely. We are chaos and stillness. Right? We are chaos and stillness. And I honestly feel like us who are at the bottom, who lack resources, the black and brown community, we are the most equipped. Why? Because we can handle chaos. They can't. We can live in chaos. They've never had to live in chaos. That's why they say, that's why they push Martin Luther King on us, right? because he was the peaceful one. They need us to be peaceful. Because if we create chaos, they wouldn't know how to survive within that. Only we do. Chew on that, you know? We really got the upper hand. We just don't know we got the upper hand. So, yeah. But yeah, this kind of went in a different direction. Master delegators, period. Yes. That is my address right now. Chaotic to those disturbing my peace. Well, I mean, we are supposed to be beings of integrity. And if you know anything about a being of integrity or what you're supposed to understand about being a being of integrity, it doesn't matter what environment you're in, you should, because a dark feminine energy is also the energy of boundaries. It's the energy of rage, right? They don't want us in the rage because the rage is the part of us that says we need boundaries. The reason why they promote dogs over cats in this reality is because dogs are obedient. Cats tell you, get your measly motherfucking hands off of me. Divine feminine energy, right? Is the energy of boundaries. They don't want us to have boundaries, right? And so, what did you say? Disturbing my peace. We are supposed to be beings of integrity. The dark feminine helps to protect us, right? Because it's the part of us that needs boundaries, right? And so true peace comes from going through the darkness. It doesn't come from silence and complacency, you know, but they want you to tell that peace is just you staying out the way, you isolating yourself, you know, but that's spiritual bypassing. You're confusing sovereignty for isolation. True sovereignty, it don't matter what environment you in, you are 100% authentically yourself and you have boundaries and you stand up for yourself. You speak about what your needs are because you are the protector. That's the ego, but you're also the clarifier, the purifier. You're both. You're all of the things. The alpha and the omega. You know, you're both. I have 2 cats. Yeah, I have Aura wherever she is. She might be outside. I don't even know. Child, I went out there the other day and it's a bunch of bird feathers. And I'm like, okay, well, where the fuck is the bird? Because I'm talking about an insane amount of feathers. I'm looking for the bird. The bird is nowhere to be found. And so I don't know if the bird ran through the, I don't know what happened to the bird, but that bird got his ass beat on that motherfucking porch because it's feathers everywhere, like literally everywhere. And I said, well, damn, you know, I hope she don't do that to a crow because we need them as friends. Mini hats. Yeah, we all do have mini hats. Wear mini hats. We're so multidimensional and multifaceted. We are supposed to move through dimensions, move through perspectives, really, because that's what dimensions are. They're different perspectives. You know, the only way for you to figure out anything in this environment is by changing your mind. You can't be sold on one way of doing things, because if you sold on one way and you never consider the perspective of anybody and you're closed-minded, you're going to be stuck, because it's the willingness, the trust that comes from stepping into the unknown that opens up possibilities, that opens up new timelines. But if you keep choosing the same thing, you're not opening up any new timelines, because choices are activation keys. They open up new timelines. If you're not making any different choices, you're not opening up any timelines. So of course you're stuck and stagnant and mad. You know, just I can detach so quickly and love, but I know either way I'm neutral. Why is that? I think there's a difference between, what do you mean detach in love? If you can detach quickly in love, you probably were never in love. You were probably always protecting yourself at some level. I think detachment is important when it comes to identity, when it comes to people, you know, realizing that people come in and out of your life. But if you went into that with a closed heart, though, it's the language you're using. I'm sorry. I'm getting confused with the language that you're using, because that means something different for me energetically. Okay. So, you want to still be in an open place regardless of who comes in. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think there needs to be a certain level of detachment within relationships, meaning that, is this person as they are right now without me trying to fix he'll save them. Are they aligned? Okay. If you decide that they are aligned and then at some point they become unaligned, you have to be okay with letting that go, because you know that what's aligned for you is going to come along. But you see how I remained open. I know something that is aligned with me is going to come along. Now, I think the other side of this is if you've been hurt in relationships before, so you don't want to give anybody your 100%. And so you expect that things are going to go wrong. And when they come in and they show you any signs of that, you're out. Those are two different scenarios. One of them gets you closer to divine union. One of them closes you off. I hope that makes sense. I don't know which one you were saying. But I think the way that we look at words sometimes in this reality, like detachment, I think they're thrown around so willy-nilly that we don't really know what it means on a spiritual level. Not saying that for you, because I don't know which way you were looking at that from or which direction you were coming from. But I just wanted to clear that up. But yeah, detachment is important. I think, especially from identities, though. Like, I think identities trap us into who we think we need to be, because if they say you're a girl, these are certain things that girls do. And if you don't do these things, then you're not a girl. And then you become confused, not understanding that gender is a lot more fluid than these are a checklist. You know, the checklist part is the masculine side. That's the limited part, right? But girls are a lot of different things. You know, they try to label us as like, girls have to wear pink. Girls have to... Who even said that? Who started that shit? Bring them here, because they've caused us a lot of fucking strife. You know? So anyways, moral of the story is what I'm creating now is going to be something that kind of helps us understand from scratch. You know, I'm not going to go into the legal side of things and stuff, because I think I started my platform doing that, talking about the legal side of things and politics and stuff like that. But I think that's still feeding into that system and keeping that system alive. And so I want to make sure that I'm very intentional in what I speak up about and what I, you know, what I put out here and what I focus on, because your focus, where you focus your attention, is what you give permission to, you know, to exist in your reality. And I want that reality to die. Okay. And so what we're going to do is I'm working through creating this new beautiful baby of mine, where I try to help us to remember. So it's going to be really interesting. I already have a name for it. I already have the first week formatted, and the first episode or not episode, because it's not an episode, it's a, you know, but I have the first part of it first day almost done. And so I'm just going to keep building on it. And until then, I'll continue to do readings and stuff like that. Usually I hop on and do readings on live, but what's today? Monday? I usually don't even get on Monday, but I just felt like I needed to, because I was gone last week. And I didn't hop on at all because I was just going through it, child. I was going through it. I realized that what I thought that I wanted, I didn't want. And I just, you know, I had to honor. I actually did a ceremony honoring that version of myself, you know, that has to die. Because for literally like 2 months, I've been in this void and nothing was happening. Nothing new forming. Like, I was like, okay, I got my services. I know exactly what I'm going to do, you know, all of these things. And then it just wasn't working. Like, things was like falling apart, things falling away. And I'm just like, this has to be happening for a reason, because we're here to witness, right? Everything is already done. So everything that's happens is supposed to happen. The only thing you can really do is delay the process. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm in alignment. So I don't understand like what's going on. And so I had to sit with myself for a whole week to realize that everything that I've been working on when it comes to the martyr loop and everything of me releasing this, needing to be helpful, to be valuable, I didn't realize that I built my whole business off of that premise, off of that unhealed version of myself. And so I thought that I found what I was supposed to do. And I think I'm still going to probably do like flame lineage readings and stuff like that, but in mediumship readings or whatever. But I think for oversoul design readings and stuff like that, I would rather teach other people how to do it from this lens, you know. And same with astrology, I would rather teach other people instead of offer my own readings and stuff like that. And so, yeah. And so I've been uncomfortable and kind of stuck for this last month and a half, because I would not acknowledge that my business was built off of me still being a martyr. Me still being a martyr, me still trying to save people, me still trying to carry y'all on my motherfucking back. And until I acknowledged that, I could not move forward. And so these last 2 days, I've been able to move forward. I've been in different energy because I finally said, okay, fine, I'll say it out loud. Fine. And sometimes you got to say it out loud, because the moment that I said it out loud and I acknowledge, okay, this is still burning me out. So that means that it's not in alignment. If you're burnt out, whatever you're doing is not in alignment, because your energy doesn't burn out for something that's true fuel to your energy. Right. And so I was like, okay, let me see. I look back through my, human design. I looked through my astrology and where I am right now and where I'm going through, like the transits that I'm going through right now, especially with the Scorpio coming. My moon is sign about to be affected, all these things. I realized that what I need is different than what I thought I wanted. And that I am a teacher and I need to step into the teacher role and stop playing small. You're thinking small, but you need to be thinking big. So I need to stop playing, and just because I just didn't think I was ready, or like I knew enough, and I think that fear can fuck you up, y'all. This is the Corella DeVille. Anyways, it just feels like a, pointer. Anyways, happy birthday. It just means that you double ruled by Scorpio. Instead of like me, I'm not double ruled by Taurus. I'm ruled by Taurus and Capricorn. You ruled by Scorpio and Scorpio, meaning Mars. But also Scorpio is also Pluto. But you ruled by Pluto and Mars. I love you. You open my eyes so much. Neutral, it can go either way. It doesn't matter. I'm fine. Period. Thank you. For saying that. I love you back, love. But yeah, I'll probably be on here tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to learn how to rest a little bit. But I'll probably be on here tomorrow at some point. Yeah, I think I feel like I have a lot more energy this week and momentum now that I figured out my thing. And once I said it out loud, then the whole idea that I'm working on right now came through immediately. And it was just like, okay, this is what you need to, and it's like, okay, but that's it's so profound though, because that is how your oversoul works. It's like you say you want something new, they put you in a confused state, or they put you in a liminal space, because that's where the old version and the new version dissipate. And so you got to sit with yourself. You got to sit in stillness, and you need to be in that void period so you can figure out how to get rid of all the old shit so the new shit can come in. And then I decide, okay, I don't want that thing. Now the oversoul can give me the next piece, but it couldn't give me the next piece unless I was willing to get rid of that old version of myself, So you really got to be in a state of authenticity. You always have to be telling yourself the truth. You got to be honest with yourself. If it don't feel good, sit with it. There's a need that you have that's not being met, and I'm teacher energy through and through. A natural teacher. A lot of the stuff that I share is shit that I get in downloads, meaning like I'll be curious about something and I keep asking questions, but I'm not asking questions to the internet. I'm literally asking myself the questions. And then I'm like, show me. I'll tell my oversoul, show me in my environment. And then I'll see like a video or something that somebody says. And then because of the wisdom that I have, I'm able to add on to that. And it's like I'll be obsessed with like a specific piece of something. Like, for example, I was obsessed with masculine versus feminine energy for a long time. If y'all been following me, that was a long escapade of me just keep building on that same premise, and it's just like it just keeps building out and building out. And so what I want to do with this new program is that understanding that oversoul embodiment is how you release the ego, because the ego is never going to have the oversoul embodiment is never going to have evidence for the ego to define. You know what I'm saying? It works outside of the ego. So yeah, yes, it's like going through a rabbit hole. Yes, you said something so deep to me, OMG. Period. I love that. Like, I feel like that's what we're here to do, all of us. Like, we have to share. We have to stay in community. We have to, keep moving, because it's through that movement and through our willingness to let the things go that are no longer serving us and stop holding on to them because we afraid to step forward or whatever, realizing that clarity comes while you're moving. It comes while you're moving. It does not come before. And so you wait and you in perfectionist paralysis trying to make the right step when the step doesn't come until you make a step. like nothing comes until you move. And so, yeah, we're here to grow and evolve together, but you're also here to bring source energy into form, creation energy into form. You're here to create. And so you got to be a conduit through which your oversoul moves. Like you still have free will, you know? Your oversoul is not going to make you do anything, but your willingness is going to show you different levels of yourself that you never knew existed. Your willingness to be guided is going to show you different versions of yourself that you never knew existed. You know, I say all the time, the happiest I've ever been, and things are not perfect. You know, I realized in this last week that I could still be messy, I could still be out of shape, I could still be imperfect and still be happy. That didn't seem like something I could conceive because I was chasing a feeling like I just wanted to be happy forever. It's not realistic. We go through cycles, you know, and so every day you can still experience joy. You know, you still want to move towards the things that light your soul on fire. Is it wrong for be honest, knowing the only way to move forward is to give your baby boy to your parents? No, I think that sometimes for me, and let me just speak from experience. My mom grew up in a time where it was not okay for you to be pregnant at a teen or anything like that. So she got married because that's what she was supposed to do. And my dad went to the military, picked up like a drinking habit, a bit of a drinking habit, and then he became abusive because he's 19 and he has all this responsibility, 2 kids, you know, under 19, you know, everything falls on his shoulders or whatever. So also comes from a different background than her, spoiled mama's boy, whatever. Anyways, my mama left because of the domestic abuse, and my family was like, well, why don't you just go back to your husband? You will be stable, you will be whatever, da da da. The best thing my mom could have ever did was give us I mean separate us from our dad, because I don't think we would have been safe in that house. Okay, when I was about 14 or 15, because of our circumstances, we had to go live with my grandparents. And it was the best thing that ever happened for me because I had moved around. By that time, I had already been in 9 different schools because we kept being evicted. We kept being put out. We kept being whatever. And so when I moved in with my grandparents, it was only supposed to be temporary, but it was the most stability I ever had. And all I ever wanted in my life was stability, was to be able to stay in one place for a period of time. Like, damn, I got to make new friends every single year. You know, I got to leave my friends behind every single year. I got to get new car. Like it just was a lot, you know? And so the best thing for us was to be with my grandparents because they gave us stability. And so, and I knew that at that time, you know, I feel like my grandparents saved us so much more trauma, like that we were allowed to at least fucking breathe. We were allowed to at least have food on the table. At the bare minimum, we know we got food in this bitch, you know? And so if you are struggling with your kid, I think that being a mother is making the choices that are best for that child. Okay. And I think that sometimes when you live in survival and when you trying to get by, like sometimes you need a moment to recalibrate. It don't have to be a forever thing. You know, if your parents are willing to take him for a while you get yourself together, why not use your community? You know, you might have projector energy that it's not meant to be a single parent. And so if you're a projector and you're a single parent, you know, a lot of times you're going to experience burnout, and it's almost like you're incapable of moving. Like you don't have energy, and then you don't have, not only are you depleted in energy, but you're not designed to be exhausted. So you can't even get energy, you know? So no, I don't think that that's a bad thing. You know, I think that if you have help, use it. If you have a community, use it, because my community saved me over and over again. So that was a long, drawn out way to say, do what's best for you and your kid. You know, my grandparents was able to give me something my parents wasn't able to give me, you know. And I was better off for it. I was able to last 2 years to actually focus on getting to college, you know, to actually get into my dance recitals, get into, track. Like I was on track athlete, number one in the state, and I was actually able to get back and forth to where I'm going because I had a stable home. Like I had a stable home. Was I sleeping on people's couches? Yeah, you know. But if that's the worst of it, baby, I'm okay. Yeah, I think we carry so much shame as women when we're trained by society to produce and create, right? And then when we produce and create and we realize that that might not have been what we wanted, they shame us for not being able to be the version. So if we even if we raise them and we do the best that we can, we at fault if they go out in society and do something wrong. But it's like where's the blame for that? It's so much pressure on women just in general. Um and they're conditioning us to produce, and not everybody is meant to be a mom, and um not everybody has the energy for it, you know and I think we take having a kid, so we don't put no energy in that, meaning that we 16, 17, 18 thinking that we need a baby, because we really just looking for something that's our own, that we know is gonna love us, you know and so we go out into the world and we produce these kids, and we don't really got the skills to do it. We ain't even figured ourselves out yet, so I think it's a lot of pressure on women just in general, as a kid of a single mother of two kids who had kids very young, not the most patient person in the world, I'll tell you that much. um I was traumatized. I don't have kids because of my childhood. I don't have kids because I also raised everybody else's kids. What the fuck? I spent my whole motherfucking life raising kids. I'll be goddamn if I'm spending my like I couldn't wait to be free. Why would I go back down that path? Kids are a lot. And that's a lifetime commitment. That's not even no 18-year commitment. That's a lifetime commitment. We don't put enough thought into that shit. You talking about having to prioritize somebody else's needs over yours always, which puts you in the position of a martyr. It's hard. It's hard. I don't think you should have kids. I think having kids is a rich people sport. Yes, me. Having kids is a rich people sport. A lot of times back in the day, they used to have kids for transactional reasons, because they had farms, right? And so they had 15 kids because they got a farm, and they need workers, right? Times change though. You don't need those 15 kids no more. They used to have daughters to sell off to men for wealth, or have daughters that have a dowry. So the man married his daughter, now he got a fortune. We all just pawns. So yeah, no, my thing is, and that's not my y'all. This is my shirt. I just want to be clear because I know this look like my skin, but I'm not on the internet showing y'all my titties. but yeah, no, I think we don't put enough thought into it, And I think as a kid who didn't have my needs met, I wish people would put more thought into that shit. Kids are expensive. Kids are continuously growing. I was 6 foot. My jeans back then, because they didn't have tall jeans back then. They had one store called Tall Girls. The jeans was gross. Not created for these people. But the jeans was like $80. My mama can't afford that. Like people can go to Fashion Nova. I mean, what was back? Charlotte Russe, Forever 21, and spend $20 on some jeans. I have to spend $80 every single time so that my motherfucking jeans are not flooding. Like that's a lot for a single mother for one item, $80. I used to only get clothes at tax time. 7 outfits for all of the year. My dad would think, well, I got y'all clothes every summer, which really was his parents. But anyways, he'd be like, I get y'all clothes every summer. I mean, sometimes he would take us. Let me not, But what is 7 outfits gonna do for 365 days, sir? And the shit don't last because it's cheap. You taking me to Ross. The shit doesn't last. Kids are expensive. So no, I would never shame a mother for doing what's best for their kid, because you could also have your kid suffer through it with you. And then you got a kid like me, who was depressed my whole life, who tied my worth to how little I needed. Try not to be a problem or a burden, became hyper independent, struggled in having genuine connections because I didn't know how to be in community with other people without being helpful. Because that's the only way I could provide value. Because I feel like I had to do something as a kid. That's the type of shit that take 30 something years to process. To me, that's not worth it. If you got help, take the help. I seen a video of a lady the other day who gave her kid up for adoption and said that she wanted to go live her dreams. Felt like she had been struggling for so long and she didn't want her kid to struggle. She found the kid a family, though. She found the kid a family, And I feel like, who's to say it could be worse? That's why I also think we got to bring back community homes too, because I think it's a less of a burden when you got a community around you too, But no, I need to do a let go of my old self ritual. Yeah, I did that. It was good though, because I got to honor all the other versions that I've been, and I actually been working at Twilight, which I'm about to hop off of here because Twilight is about to hit, baby, and I need to go out there. And I've been fasting all day, and so my head is spinning anyway. But I need to go out there. But I did like an ode to all of the old versions of myself, and I did it. It was a smoking ritual because I've been using that as ritual work because it helps you to get into, stillness, or at least it helps me. But yeah, I did an ode to my old versions of myself, and I thank them because they was only doing what they knew how to do at the moment, and I appreciate them for doing anything. Like the version of me that was angry, or the version of me that stayed in environments that was harming me. I thank them all, because if it wasn't for them, I would have never got here. I would never be this version of myself. And so I'm grateful for every part, every piece, every part that they played in that, you know. And that's how you get true integration. They still exist inside of me, but I told them all, I need to be driving the car at all times. I'm okay with taking in your input if you have an input, but y'all gonna have to learn how to trust me up in here. The twilight is when the sun is down, but the sky is still light outside. Like, I'll show you. Well, I can't take YouTube, so it would be unfair. You're welcome, love. Can you give ways to connect to spirit guides without making any contracts? Well, I think that you need to connect with yourself first, because I think that it's going to be really hard for you to tell what voices belong to who if you don't know what your voice is first. Not saying that you don't, but I'm just giving you what I would be doing. And also sometimes when you searching for something or you looking for something, you send out this energy and anything can come through. And so you want to make sure that you connecting with the right things. So what I would say is, if you are going to sit down and try to connect with your spirit guides, you need to build a relationship with them. And that's like saying out loud, like talking to them out loud, because they always surround you, and telling them, yeah, I do like Blue Lotus, Deja. I've smoked it. I've put it in teas. I prefer it in tea. But yeah. But set your intention, tell them what it is that you want to do, and then ask them for like subtle signs, like establish like a yes and a no with them. Meaning like, if this is for my highest good, because they're not going to really give you a yes or no because you still have free will. They don't work like that. And so asking them, like, if something is for my highest good, show me this. If it's not for my highest good, show me that. and then waiting and paying attention and noticing. I think having patience is important. And then I would also, if you're going to sit down in meditation and try to talk to them, um I would set your intentions like, I'm calling on my spirit guides, but only the ones that are meant to help me to reach my oversoul's mission, or only the one that's aligned with my highest purpose, or highest timeline right now. Because we got different guides. We got outer bound guides that help us with specific things, like, say, if you struggle with addiction, you're going to have an outer bound guide. If you struggle with abuse, sexual abuse or something like that, you'll have an outer bound guide. But then you also have like spirit guides who are family members or your ancestors, but those are usually just mom, dad, grandparents, up through the maternal, paternal line. You also have them. So a lot of y'all's grandmothers and grandfathers are sitting around in y'all fields. But then you also have star guides. So guides that kind of come, that are associated with your star lineage. Mine's hadn't seen me in a long time. I don't know what that means. They was like, "Oh, you still speak the language. Oh, you still," and I have three of them. And I know two of their names that I've met. It's kind of crazy. But you also have star guides. And then, some of your spirit guides are incarnated with you. Like they're not outside, like they're literally some of your best friends, some of your, like sometimes they are incarnated with your siblings, but yeah, that's what I would say. Just make sure you set your intentions, and make sure that you've done enough clearing to connect to something outside of you to where you can tell when something is not right. Okay. What is it like when you meet them? Do you hear them or see them in your third eye? Still working on that. So me, I can't see in my third eye. I can see. Wait a second. It don't make no sense, y'all. I can see sometimes if someone projects an image into my head, like a spirit will project the image into your head. So sometimes I can see, but like trying to see, it's black in there. It's black in there. Okay. So no, I dream. I astral project, all kind of things. And those are things that I've just been doing since I was a kid. But I did make like if you check out my podcast, Becoming No One, season 1, I talk about everything you really need to know about being a spiritual being. And so I talk about lucid dreaming. I talk about astral projection, all of that. Oh, damn. It took me forever last time to get this. I need to stop playing with this thing like it's a damn toy. I'm gonna have to find that later. But anyway, I met him in a dream, like in an astral projection. And so I know that I'm astral projecting because I'm conscious and then it feels like I'm falling backwards. And so it's really hard not to get scared when you're falling backwards, but it feels like you're flipping backwards. And then I hear that sound. And then I'm somewhere else. Like I'm falling from the sky or flying over something. I don't fucking know. It just depends on the scenery. And so when I feel myself falling backwards, I direct myself. I tell myself where I'm going. And so with my star guides, I just said, I'm going to be my star guides. And so I ended up in this place that actually looked a lot like regular Earth. Like it literally looked like, like there was some businesses, there's some buildings, there was like a sidewalk, there was whatever. And so I started, this is stupid, but I'm going to tell y'all because I don't give a fuck. I was exploring the world and I tried to see if I could run through a wall. It wasn't working, by the way. But I had a Jeep pull up next to me, and Jeep was not like on 4 wheels. It was kind of hovering. And so, yeah, y'all, ridiculousness. But shit, I don't fucking know. So I'm trying to figure out what the fuck, how do I work this motherfucker? So I was like, here's a wall. Let me try to run through the fucking wall. Anyway, embarrassing. My star guide came up beside me in a Jeep and was like, get in. And I looked at her and I was like, I don't fucking know you. And she was like really, like she literally hit me with like a really nigga, like you called me here. You told me to come here. And she was like, really, Taja? Like, you asked me to be here. And I said, you're right. You're right. And so I got in the car. And so we driving, and she said, I asked her name. She told me her name. Her name is QQ. She told me I had two other star guides, Adea and somebody else who's a guy. She was like, we haven't seen you in forever. Like, but she was like, I'll be around. And I was like, show me that you be around. And she brought up something that I do. And I was like, oh, okay, bitch, you be around. Okay, I got it. Tell me next time, announce yourself, but she started talking to me in a star language, a light language, and it sounded a lot like French. And so I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like French. And I was like, I've been actually studying French for like 15 years. And she's like, I know, I be around. And she was like, but can you speak it? And I'm like, no. And she's like, exactly, because I have been studying French since I was in high school, and I still cannot speak it. Like, to this day, every single night I do French. I don't know, it's something ain't connecting up there. And so basically I was like, oh yeah, I speak French. And she was like, do you really? Can you speak it? Like, that type of thing. And I was like, okay. She got a little attitude, she got a little sass to her, which I like. We was having a key, but then like it was like we rode past this party. Somebody was having a party, and I was like, oh, let's go there. So she pulled up. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. She pulls up to the thing. As soon as I walk through the door, I'm awake. I'm up. So I guess that was a test I failed. And so I was like, okay, well, I wake up, I open my eyes, and I try to go right back to sleep. And I do. I astral project immediately. And then I land, and I'm walking down the street. And so I see this house beside me, and I ask them, like, can you give me directions to, I don't even know where the fuck I said to give me directions to. But they was like, oh yeah, And it was weird because the house was like cut out in the front. It looked like a house, but it didn't have no door, no nothing. It was literally like I was looking through a window or something. But the whole front of the house was gone, and it was like a green couch, and it was like two people sitting on the couch. And so I walked up to the window that really just became like a whole opening. And I told her what I was looking for. And she was like, oh, yeah. And so she came outside. It was two of them. One of them was like, your tongue is really long. Like, where are you coming from? And I was like, oh, Earth. And I was like, because why not? I was like, Earth. And so I stick my tongue out, and I was like, what's really crazy is my tongue is like actually really short compared to other people's tongues. And she's like, oh, our tongues are smaller. And she stuck out her tongue, and it was like, and I was like, okay, well, that would make sense why I'd be tripping over my motherfucking words, because if I'm not used to having a long tongue, that would make sense. Thank you. And then I seen my star guide coming up, and she was wearing like a gown, like a ball, like she was leaving a gala, and it was her, and she was with a date. He was in a tux. She was in like a full ball gown. And they was in like the same Jeep or whatever, but she's running towards me. And so I looked at her, and I was like, oh, they're really living a full life. And then I started to wake up again. And so she actually looked like I had just watched this love story, and she looked just like the person. Like, they take whatever form, so you could, I don't know, be comfortable, I guess. But our conversation was a lot longer than that. But yeah, I've only met her twice. But sometimes she'll come through my field, and I'll know that it's her because of like how she's talking or what she's saying. And yeah, so no, I astral project. And so that's why I went. I just directed myself while I was astral projecting. When it comes to my past life selves, some of them will show up to me in dreams. A lot of times they don't talk, but they're just like doing something, like helping me with something. And so I'll have that. When it comes to ancestors, I'm a medium. And so I could just hear them, or I could just talk to them whenever I want to talk to them. Spirit guides, I know one of them is my grandmother, my great grandmother. She helps me with a lot of psychic shit. But higher self, just whenever she has anything, I think I spend more time with my oversoul now. But my higher self, like when I'm trying to figure something out, understand something, my higher self is usually the one that's like, okay, this is what it is, But yeah, y'all laughing at me. That is crazy. Hold on, what you say? Dang, this sounds so familiar. I'm pretty sure I've traveled to similar places as kids. Yeah, you probably did. He probably did grow as above, so below. I'm trying to understand, friend. We listen and we don't judge. Not for real. I'm trying to figure out if, if I'm supposed to be invisible energy, I should be able to move through this fucking wall. But apparently, I'm not equipped to do that. Hell, I'm flying in the sky. I don't understand. But anyways, it just don't work like that, which is okay. I need to figure that out for myself. I'm gonna look at my dreams differently now because some wild, vivid ones that seem familiar happen. Yeah, because your dreams is where you retrieve soul memories. I've seen. The reason why I know how I died in past lives, the reason that I know that my brother used to be my husband, my little cousin was my daughter. Um, all of that shit came from dreams because dreaming, like when you're dreaming, you are soul retrieval is what you're doing. So a lot of your dreams are either your subconscious mind trying to tell you something that you're ignoring while you're awake and it's creating imagery for it, or you're in a soul memory. You're in a soul, like something that you need to retrieve and repair, refragment. So, anyways, so yeah, so that's pretty much it. Um, Let me turn this off. I'm gonna need that later. So yeah, so I've been on here, y'all, for almost 3 hours. I'm about to head out. Do you dream every night? No, I don't. Um, I haven't in this last. Well, I didn't for a long time because something was attached to my astral cord, which is something that can happen sometimes when you go to sleep. You send out soul energy, whether you know it or not. And if you are somebody who is starting to remember yourself, that energy just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And so you attract like these astral parasites. Um, and so sometimes they can take your dreams away, or like you can't, like you can remember it when you wake up, but then it's gone almost immediately, like that type of thing. Um, but when it's something like that, my oversoul is giving me, I remember every single detail. When you're astral projecting, you're gonna remember every single detail, and it's gonna feel very real, like you was there. But every night, no, I ain't never dreamed every night. Well, I love the topic of dreams. We may have a full discussion on that. Yeah, we can have a full discussion on dreams, or is normal not to dream some nights. I feel like I don't dream every night, and I'm okay with that. I don't. I mean, how to get rid of any parasite is to heal from your trauma, because the only way that they have access to your field is your fears. Is the stuff that you haven't alchemized. And so doing soul work, they can't stay attached. And I've had every single type of attachment that you could fucking imagine. Which spirit told me I had to do. I had to do that in order for me to know how to help other people. But it's fucked up, I'll tell you that much. Because y'all will be surprised at what's out there. Okay. Like the Astro 4D parasites look like octopus. Like they got tentacles. It's fucking weird. But sometimes my spirit guides and stuff will come in and save me though. Like they'll take me through a portal, and the astral parasite will have to detach from me because they pulling me into higher energy. Um, so that happens. I guess it just depends. But I also think fasting does a lot for you. You need to fast quite often. I'm fasting today, which I'll probably fast for the next, I don't fucking know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, you need to fast and stuff too, because it helps to move that energy. Exercise helps to keep your energy moving as well. And just start little. You don't have to do anything major. Like last week I was doing dance tutorials on YouTube, and I was fucking that shit up too. I realized that I miss dancing, because I don't know if y'all knew this, but I used to do drill team, and then I did like ballet, contemporary jazz. Loved it. Loved it. And I did a bar class last week that was amazing, but like made me realize, oh, how far the mighty have fallen. Because to be able to do ballet, your arms, your shoulders, your everything has to be fucking strong. It's just like, bitch, how was I able to do this? But it did give me, like, it did encourage me to continue down that path, and continue, go back to doing some of the things I love doing, because I hear a song and I am completely choreographing it in my head, and I've always been really good at choreography. But But yeah, I'm just getting back into dancing because I just feel like I haven't in such a long time. And it's just like I feel free when I'm dancing. And so start small, you got to do something to live on live one day. I got to do something on live one day about what? About fasting, about dancing, or about dreaming. Learned so much today, girl. Thanks again. Wish I could have these kinds of spiritual talks with friends. We are friends, girl. All you do is got to show up when I'm showing up. Oh, girl, boo. I probably would though. I don't know. Cause I used to like we had recitals. Like I was a part of a dance academy and I danced for my school. But I'm so out of alignment right now, girl. Maybe when I get it together. I've been shocking myself just in like things that I didn't know I was talented at. Cause I'm a Taurus, y'all. We literally wrote the book on talent. Don't let nobody else tell you nothing different. We literally write the book on talent. And so I've just been figuring out some new stuff about myself that I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you didn't even get a chance to be a kid. So you didn't get a chance to explore. So I probably would. A gang, period. But we wrote the book on talent, and I feel like I just haven't explored myself. Like even with one thing that I've been doing when I'm alchemizing something, instead of like what I've been doing with memories that I keep telling myself is I'll write it like a book. And so something kept coming up for like when I was a kid that something somebody told me that really just changed, like it pushed me into a martyr loop. Right. And it kept coming up. And so one day I just came up here and I turned on the song the song TV by Billie Eilish. At the end of the song, she keeps repeating, maybe I'm the problem. And that's how I felt in that moment. Like that's what I had decided, that I was the problem in that moment. And so in order for me to get back into the energy, I kept repeating that part and I kept like feeling into that energy. And then so I started writing a paragraph about how I felt at that moment as if I was writing a book. Right. And it's a cool, nice little paragraph. And I'm proud of my paragraph. And so now when I think about that memory, I think about the paragraph and not what happened. Like I think about like how I alchemized that into something so beautiful. But I never even seen myself in the light of a writer. Even though my chart says that I will be amazing at writing, like I have that energy of expression, I just had never seen myself like that. And I said, oh girl, okay, we like this. And so like anytime I have a memory that's coming up and I keep telling myself it one way, I'm making into something else. Like I'm making into something else. And now every time I think of that event, I am supremely proud instead of, I'm proud. And I put it in this little note that's called Things I Never Said. And I just make it into this thing. Maybe I'll share it with y'all. Not today, because I'm not feeling that bold. But maybe one day I'll share it with y'all. But I've just been finding new ways to be creative and artistic and all of these things. And like I was looking back earlier on like this year, because I feel like this year I have been 1,000 different versions of myself. It's kind of crazy. Like I remember who I was. What was that, in April? And I feel like everything is such a snowball effect for me. Like I don't know how to do shit a little bit. It's like I step right into the deep end and I start going down. Like it's like immediately. And so like I was looking back at that and I've created so much this year, like the flame lineage readings, the oversoul codex, the other set of tarot cards. I don't sell these, but I use them in my readings. And it's just like, what the fuck, girl? Like I literally just have been in a very creative energy, but I'm also in I'm in a 3 energy apartment, and so that's the energy of creation. Last year or a year and a half ago, before I moved here, I was in a 7 energy, which is knowledge, wisdom, and so it just makes sense. And I'm in an 8 building, which is abundance, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I feel like I'm creating something new right now that's probably going to have several different pathways, because I think we need people who understand. at a high level. We need people who understand themselves. We need people who understand how to heal themselves. We need people who understand, I don't know. We just need people who understand. And I think that I have a really great way of helping people see the beauty in their experiences. And I have a really great way of making things so simple that a 5-year-old could understand it. And so I just want to empower people to step into their sovereignty. And through, that maybe I teach you and you teach 10 more people and they teach 10 more people. Or like I can see it so clearly in my head. And so now I just need to bring it out of my head and into this environment. And so today was a brainstorming day, because that's what Mondays are really good for, planning, strategy, that type of shit. And so I did that today. Tomorrow, I'm actually be able to get some shit done, which is good. I think I'm on channel on Thursday, or actually my channel on Wednesdays, and record the videos on Wednesday. So I have a schedule. So I'm trying not to rush through this. This is going to be something I develop over time, which I'm really excited when I get done with this first module, I guess, or not. I think I'm going to make it either 6 or 8 weeks. I really want to do longer though, because I feel like it needs so much detail, but I'm trying not to overwhelm people because there's so much information up here. I'm trying to simplify, and I'm trying to not overwhelm people so it could be, good for people who are beginners as well. Are we in a soul trapping simulation? No, we are in a soul field that has been compromised, meaning that there are energies that are predatory here that are trying to keep you out of alignment with yourself. So the only trap that you'll ever be in is the mind. They trap you in your own mind. Okay. And so you have to learn how to manage your mind by understanding you're not your thoughts. You got to learn how to manage your emotions by understanding you're not your emotions, and that you are actually the full consciousness. And when you can remember who you are, there is no more trapping. The only way that they trap you is with lies and deception. You have to feel the truth within your body. Which I think is a simple way, very, very simple way of answering that. But it goes much deeper than that. Can you be trapped? Absolutely. But it's only when you refuse to be honest with yourself. It's only when you refuse to see yourself honestly. That's the only way you could be trapped. It's only when you try to intellectualize your way through this reality instead of feel your way through this reality. That's the only time. And you're setting the trap. They set the conditions and the circumstances, but you set the trap by what you continue to feed your attention towards. So yes and no, because it's a lot more, life is a lot more nuanced than we give credit for, It's a lot more nuanced. It's 7:00 on the dot. I'm in the cruising the streets. All right, y'all. I gotta go. I'm getting stir crazy. I feel like my eyes look cocked or something. I don't know. I made that up. But anyway, I love that. Oh, great. Okay. I'll probably be here. Oh, it's 10:01. Oh, so you're on the East Coast. Okay. I used to be an East Coast girly. Well, I was a Midwest girly. Okay, y'all. I love y'all. I'll probably be on here tomorrow, but every time I go live, I'll tell y'all in Patreon. So if you're not on my Patreon, like the free version of Patreon is where I make announcements and stuff. And so if y'all want to keep up, y'all can join the free version of my Patreon. It's Becoming No One. Becoming No One. Becoming No One. Oh, yeah, that's right, girl. You moved to LA. I'm here too. Oh, you in LA now? Period. See you tomorrow. Yeah, I moved to LA about to be 4 years ago next month, and literally a month from tomorrow. It'll be 4 years. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I actually, y'all, before I go, because I'm just never gonna shut up at this point. I randomly, and I think it's because of my Aquarius placements, because Pluto just moved into Aquarius, fucking up shit. Okay, I got it in my fourth house and I got it in my fifth house, and in my fourth house is like Aquarius energy is so unconventional, and so you're trying to figure out what home means to you. And I guess I realized in these last couple of days that home is wherever I am. Like home is not something outside of me. Home is wherever I am, you know. And so I need to feel safe in myself because I am the home for myself, you know. And so with that new understanding and with me being in this new energy, I have literally wanted to downsize everything. I wanted to get rid of everything. And so I started doing that. Like I started packing up clothes to send to Goodwill, all this kind of shit. But I want to I want to move across seas, not move, but travel. I want to travel for a whole year. And I want to start in like Bali or Tokyo or Thailand. I don't fucking know. Greece, France, I don't fucking know. Somewhere. And do 3 months in different places, you know, and just kind of move around and just see what I like. Cause I think I need to explore myself. I need to explore the world. I don't know. But then I also feel like I'm a person who always needs change. And so sometimes I be creating change. And so I'm trying not to be impulsive because I understand that it's because of how the energy just moved. But that energy is going to be like that for the next 19 years. So it's not a rush, you know? So I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be here for much longer in LA. Like I think I might be here for probably maybe another year and a half at the most before my ass hits the fucking streets. So we'll see. Oh, welcome. I'm a native. Ask me any questions. Oh, you're a native to California. Okay, period. Yeah, period. I will ask you questions. I do have a lot of questions. Um, all right, y'all. Okay, I'm out. My throat is hurting or something is hurting. I don't know what's going on. All right, love y'all. Bye. This will be on YouTube. I think I'm gonna put this under, what should I label this as so people know that this is the video. I'm probably going to put it underneath spiritual talk, and then I'll try to I'll put some topics or stuff that we discussed so that y'all know, but it's going to be my last live. So the last live that I did, that's going to be the one. Okay. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Have a good night.